Hello, everyone. My name is Truk. Alongside of me is Marxist, and stepping in for MathSad's messed up internet, we have Marblr on production. And tonight we are bringing you ESEA Season 22, Round 1 of playoffs between RONIN and FROYO Black. First map, CP Snakewater. Marxist, how do you feel about this coming into it?
Well, historically, so far this season, we saw RONIN take down FROYO Black on this map already pretty handily. So that might be a bit of a test for them tonight, because you really don't want to lose your first match going into a best of 3, by the way. So that's gonna, I think you mentioned it, but maybe not. And so it will be here for a while regardless.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night starting at 11. It could go all 3 games. Obviously, the winner of this match goes to the upper bracket finals. This is double elimination, so the loser does get another shot at redemption, going against the loser of Thursday's game between FROYO Tech and EVL. But here we are now, RONIN versus FROYO Black. The last 2 times these teams have fought each other, RONIN won 5-2 both games, and I think you and I casted the Gollywash game, Marxist. I'm not really sure, but I was there. I watched it. It was kind of rough. RONIN kind of screwed around the whole game, running Spy and Sniper to mid, and they still crushed FROYO Black. Do you think that we're going to see a repeat performance?
Well, from what I've heard from you, who would be my special source, FROYO Black has been going into this match with a little bit more seriousness than they did for most of the season, and we have some really big time sort of elder statesmen of TF2 on FROYO Black as well. So when it comes to a land situation where we're sort of there, or where the checks actually come out for your winnings, FROYO Black might be a lot harder to deal with than they were during the regular season.
I agree with that. The stakes were very much low for both of these teams. They both very much coasted into playoffs just off of experience and skill, like raw skill alone. They were just able to put up good enough records to get the 2nd and 3rd seed in ESEA-Invite. The stakes are being raised, so maybe, like you said, FROYO Black will put some serious goggles on and actually take it to RONIN. But at the end of the day, RONIN has looked so strong. Despite them coasting through, not really practicing that much throughout the season, they have looked absolutely dominant, only losing 2 matches against FROYO Tech, and a somewhat controversial loss to Bird Noises earlier in the season as well. But they've dominated every asset of the game, and I don't know if it's going to really change here tonight.
Yeah, we'll see after the first match. I always like to say with the best of 3 format, sometimes you're just going to come out and get a bunch of wins that you don't expect. And I have been in that position before as a player. In the first ever best of 3 I had to play in for a championship, we thought we were going to get smeared for sure, and we ended up winning the first map 5-0. And that completely changed our entire outlook on life, the universe, and everything, Truk.
Yeah, and you can actually look back at last season as a kind of a testament to what you just said. RONIN was a heavy favorite going into the finals versus FROYO Tech, and it seems like it was a little bit of a slippery slope. They lost the first map, and then 3 more maps later, they were 2nd place, and FROYO Tech won Invite. So things can change very quickly, as we've seen in recent history. So maybe that will happen. I'm going to introduce this teams real quick for those that don't know. RONIN, the 2nd seed, finishing the season 4-2. We have Rando, Mela, Yamp, Shrugger, Bodonsky, and Nursey. And on the other side of the map, we have FROYO Black finishing the season 11-5. They are the 3rd seed. Shade, Blank, Tag, Slemnish, Shizer, and Habib.
Yeah, and you'll note a lot of the big names from the past on FROYO Black, particularly Shade and Sizer, who at this point, if you put the 2 of them together, probably have as many land victories as Michael Phelps has gold medals, Truk.
Yes, very much so. Actually, probably more than that, to be perfectly honest. And what do you think Froyo Black is going to need to do to change, uh, turn this around between these two teams this season? They're 0-2 versus Ronin so far this season. What do they need to do to slow Ronin down and get some rounds on the board?
Well, one thing in particular on this map, on this first Snakewater map, a big part of winning or losing the game is how effectively the other team's demo can zone you out on mid. And when you're working against Badonsky, that's going to be a major problem for Froyo Black. And I think previously when we ran down, when these two teams had faced each other last, Froyo Black had a really difficult time with Snakewater mid, and that would be part and parcel of the reason. So
Yeah,
they've got to figure out how to shut down Badonsky.
yeah, and you're exactly right. I actually reviewed the match between Ronin and Froyo Black on Snakewater. It was very early in the season, week 3. Ronin just rolled right through. If I remember correctly, Froyo Black won one mid that entire game. But the second half, they were able to slow the game down a bit and get a couple rounds on the board. But at the end of the day, Ronin just dominated. The only downside I saw from Ronin is when Ubers were even, they tended to lose the fight. They tended to get stumped by the patented tag bomb. I think Nursey dropped twice to it, so they'll have to be aware of that if Froyo Black can slow down the game and have tags, wonderful bombs, carry them to victory.
Yeah, if I recall, in seasons past, years ago, I think this is the actual map where the phrase tag bomb was born. So maybe he just has a special relationship with Snakewater.
Maybe he found a lot of openings in the match. Actually, he's found a lot of openings in pretty much every match. It's kind of inspiring to see because everybody knows it's coming. That's just how Froyo Black plays. They slow the game down and send tag in over and over until they get the force, and it works. And as long as Froyo Black can slow the game down, I think that's the biggest question for me. Is can Froyo Black slow the game down? Because Ronin is a high tempo team. They are a team that is very strong at mid, like you said, on the back of Badonsky's massive amounts of damage. How can Froyo Black slow the game down against a team that's so dominant at every single mid?
Well, you just don't want to get wiped out at middle. So if it starts to turn bad, they need to just give up on it instead of committing to finishing the mid. Unless they know that they can take Nursey out in there as a last gasp sort of thing. I would say if you're the type that watches in the STV, the big way to tell how this mid is going is how closely Badonsky's little demo feet are to the point itself. The more time Badonsky's demo feet spend on the point, the more likely it is Ronin's gonna just come away with the mid. So they've got to keep him back. And as long as they can manage to do that, they should at least have some kind of a shot at winning the mid. And then that'll put them in a better position because a tag bomb centric style really relies on having the better spawn position. So you want to have mid. You really want to have mid and not be the team that's stuck on second or last.
Yeah, and from what I've gathered from watching these teams play on this specific map, Ronin likes to play very passive. Only one mid they sent Mela in very deep. He actually skip jumped off of the wood on mid into the battlements area. Every other mid he just hung back. They seem to wait for tag to initiate the fight, get the free early kill, and then just push forward. So I don't know what Ronin can really do to change it up. They seem to have a very straightforward style on Snakewater, and it's hard for teams to deal with, it seems. I don't really know how they approach other maps, but I think Snakewater is one of their strongest.
Yeah, that's possible. I know in the past they've been pretty decent on Snakewater, so And that partly comes from how good their demo man is. That could also be a time for Habib here to prove his fight demo man demo fight on this map is still very important. A lot of other maps where it used to be talked about, like Badlands, there used to be a big thing where whichever demo got to mid first was in a huge advantage, or had a big advantage on their opponent. And Snakewater is still pretty similar to that. If you can get out first and lay the damage on your opponent, you're solid.
All right. Hello. Can anybody hear me? All
Yes, you're back.
right. Yeah, I don't know, but tell me if I'm roboting.
Nope, you're fine.
I think this is a tragic server, and my routing to every single tragic server is questionable to say the least. But I think we're back. Hopefully the stream wasn't hearing Marxist Robot earlier as well. But I think we're back. We'll have to get a backup mumble set up for the next map, but hopefully it stays stable for the duration of this match as players are trickling into the server. Fortunately, Marxist, I did not get to hear your analysis before I disconnected from the mumble, but
well,
yeah.
Such is life and live internet broadcasting.
That is very true. I guess we can touch on the maps that we are going to be seeing tonight. We are definitely going to see Snakewater, and right after that, we're going to be seeing Sunshine. Do you think they're going to be able to take it to Granary Pro, the tiebreaker map of this series?
I would certainly like to see the Granary game, mainly because I like exciting TF2. So far this season, FROYO Black hasn't necessarily proven that they can do that here. But I like to think that my heroes, Blank and Sizer and company, can put a game together good enough to at least win one over Ronin here and get us to a match with some really high stakes.
Yeah, and the stakes are high. Whoever goes to lower bracket is definitely facing elimination. Neither of these teams, both these teams probably feel like they can win the season here. And I think FROYO Black is definitely the underdog, but if they really take things seriously, which I think they kind of have at least more seriously than they have in recent weeks. They've had a couple scrims. I know Habib said Ronin did not scrim at all this week for this match, so they could be finding themselves shaking off some rust coming into the first couple rounds of this game.
Yeah, it's always a little strange. Some teams do well not scrimming a lot, and some teams it's like they've never met each other if they take a break for a few days. So things going on. It's the summertime. People have all sorts of cool things to go do, and sometimes you can't work out your scrim schedule on a Tuesday night. So we'll see. Also traditionally in playoff scenarios, Ronin has not particularly impressed. So we'll see if they can shake off their demon here that prevents them from succeeding in playoff position.
That is a very good point. They've had a lot of struggles beating specifically FROYO in playoffs, at least finals. They beat FROYO in the playoffs last season, then got destroyed in the finals by the same team. So we will see how this maps out for Ronin. Who do you think the star players for each team is? Who do you think the players are to watch? I think you mentioned Bodonsky for Ronin. For FROYO Black, who you got your eyes on?
Well, on this particular map, I would say, especially given the potential for Bodonsky to really influence mid, you're either going to end up having to watch Tag or one of the two scouts, either Slemnish or Sizer, because that's sort of your fallback options, what to deal with the enemy demo. So starting out at mid, that's going to be what you want to watch. The rest of the game, I would say that it's probably going to come down to how our pockets actually play Rando and Blank, which will be a pretty cool showdown, I like to think.
I agree. Blank actually playing fairly aggressive, doing the pocket counter stack more than I've seen any other team except for, excuse me, Champ GG with Deathy going in for the counter sack. So aggressive player from Blank, very proactive player, very experienced player, but you could say that about pretty much everyone in the server.
Yep, at this point, certainly. So we'll see. Hopefully, we should be pretty close here, truktruk, to getting the game started, because only a few people are missing.
Yeah, in fact, we only have one player missing, and that means, to me at least, we should probably get into predictions. I kind of want to do map by map predictions rather than a whole series, unless that's what you want to do, Marxist. But for Snakewater, who do you think is going to get the early victory in this best of 3?
I would like to give this game to FROYO Black. Just because I want to see FROYO Black succeed. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think if they can handle Ronin on these mids, they have a chance at winning the game. But at the end of the day, I think Ronin is going to win. I'm going to actually predict another 5-2 between these two teams. I think Ronin's going to win fairly convincingly. Maybe FROYO Black will bounce back on Sunshine, but I don't think Rust is really a thing. Even though they are unpracticed, that doesn't mean they're not playing games, they're not warmed up and whatnot. Yeah, I don't think I kind of agree with you, Marxist. I want to have a good game, but I gotta look at things realistically, and in my mind, realistically, Ronin has this.
Well, we'll see soon enough. Can they pull one out here and move on to Sunshine, which we have more interesting things to say about when we get there. So be sure to stick with us, even if it turns sour here on Snakewater, or the mumble goes all crazy.
Yes, you might have a kooky night as far as like internet connections go. But as far as maps go, Marxist, it's kind of interesting to see that ESEA forces specific versions of maps in playoffs, because there is a newer version of actually all 3 of the maps in this best of 3. Sunshine has a more recent version, Snakewater, and also Granary Pro. All 3 maps have more recent versions, but we are playing the older versions that have been played during the regular season. And I kind of talked to you about it during the pregame. It's kind of a shame that they can't play the newer maps or newer versions in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's mainly a holdover from an older time when maps used to undergo radical retouching, because, like, for example, the very first version of Process that we played in ESEA there was still water in places, and there was a tunnel instead of the sewer shutter door, and then the next version of that map that came out undid all of that, and that would be a radically different map. It played radically different from the original. So yeah, I mean, minor retouches like what happens now is not such a big deal, but back in the day, it was serious business when a new map came out, because you may just abandon it altogether and stay with the old one forever.
That is a good point, and it is the last few matches we will see on these versions of these maps, and that point you bring is very interesting, because next season might be radically different, because of even small changes can make big differences on maps. And Snakewater has undergone some small changes, but a lot of small changes. And we are finally live here, Marxist. We have ESEA Season 22 Round 1 playoffs between Ronin and FROYO Black.
Yep, it should be a good one. We got FROYO Black in blue and Ronin in the red starting out, and the green text. So we're good. It's all official now. Hopefully you can hear us.
Yes, we do have the beautiful green text on the screen. Both demos approaching mid. No damage is dealt just yet. Badonsky taking a little bit from Habib. They're actually just exchanging sickies. Both teams kind of posturing up. No early aggression on this mid. It looks like Slemnish actually runs across the top of the point, takes down Shrugger, and Rando counter jumps Shade, and Mela's with him too. He misses both his rockets, and FROYO Black is going to win this first mid quite convincingly.
Yeah, really nice play there from FROYO Black. They ended up getting a scout really hurt early, and managed to push forward off of that, gain a little bit of positioning, and then once they got the frag, they bomb tag in, and it's a done deal. Also, a big lockout coming down over here from Habib, and that's going to get Badonsky. Blank's going to trade out, though, and Yomps is going to manage to get 2 frags there, and some more, even, it appears. Nursey also, yeah, Nursey will be the one with that kill, and Uber is popped, and FROYO Black is undone.
Yeah, they killed Badonsky there, but Yomps was just running around hitting the meat shots on every player in that area, and Nursey noticed that and took her pocket right in and forced the Uber situation. Here comes Ronin, dry pushing into mid, taking a lot of damage from Tag above, and they're isolating Shrugger. Yomps wins a 1v1 against Sizer in the kitchen area and tries to escape through lower. He might be able to get out here. He does not. That leaves FROYO Black with a 1-player advantage. Ubers are still not up yet. Mela hopping around up top and gets ripped out of the sky by Slemnish, so they're feeding in one by one here.
Yeah, I think they tried to do a lockout play there after they got their respawns, and it just didn't pan out for them. And we do have a slight Uber advantage here for FROYO Black, but it's probably not going to come to anything. I thought they might try to play a little bit off the fact that Mela won't be up here, but they are not. So it looks like we're just going to chill for now, probably see the tag bomb or a European style solo Uber.
Yeah, here comes the European solo Uber. Sizer getting launched across the map. Nursey milking her. She finally pops. They have about a 2-second longer Uber here as Nursey is actually flashing away. Sizer going across the left side, doing a lot of damage to Badonsky and Mela, but they're losing players. While Shrugger is pushing through lower, he gets 2 kills before he loses his own life. And here comes Ronin.
Yeah, and a big bomb coming out now from Tag. Tries to get at Nursey. Not really anything going down there. And they are going to cap up second is Ronin. And they are going to continue to march to mid. Especially because there's no Habib there. No demo. So this should be an easy going time. And Blank is going to fall as well. And that should result in a pretty easy cap.
Yeah, they might get some collateral kills here as Sizer actually escapes through lower. They do get that clean push. Ubers are going to even up, but mid control is so important. As you mentioned in the precast, Ronin has it. Ubers are even.
And again, we'll see a similar thing come down here, but it looks like they're just going to feed Shrugger in and see what he can do. Along with Mela, and Rando's actually going to die in a sticky trap. So is Shrugger. So that's going to be a Uber push for FROYO Black whenever they can get it together here. There's Blank coming in, and they get the Ubers exchanged in Saw Room.
Yeah, Nursey's going to be forced to flash several of her players, and it looks like Blank is trying to push through Saw here, getting completely denied by a nice sticky from Badonsky, and it looks like Ronin wants to re-push this, dry push through lower. Mela leading the charge, getting completely denied by Slemnish. Blank coming in over the top, hitting 2-3 rockets onto Badonsky, and it looks like FROYO Black is going to be pushing this through lower. Yomps isolated by himself. He might be able to escape. I can't believe... Yeah, he's definitely dead. He does go down very late. Rando in behind, actually taking down Tag.
Yeah, that was a pocket gets the roamer, or a pawn takes the queen sort of situation if you're a Sezco fan. But they're going to keep this rolling as FROYO Black. They're going to leave one guy at mid and move on up, but Habib's going to get taken out again. And that should pretty much slow the push here for the time being. But Sizer is going in. He gets Badonsky pretty much by himself with a little bit of help from his med. But now the Uber is forced here. It's a lot better for Ronin. And we're trapped in here as FROYO Black, so this is going to be pretty tough for them.
Yeah, Nursey's in a safe spot. She's not going to go down here. Tag just fighting for his life here as he's going to go down. Slemnish very hurt in on the action as well, trying to chip shot the rest of the retreating Ronin players. But they're going to regroup and probably re-push this as well as they gather onto the second point.
Yeah, as deep as they were there, FROYO Black had a little bit of time disadvantage there. So that gave Ronin enough to get back out here and re-stabilize. The only question now is, will FROYO Black try and dry push this? Because you can, and we'll see. Well, they might try and go in and get some damage. Blank might pull out his shotgun and fire it off 5 or 6 times and see what he can find.
Yeah, it looks like the Ubers are going to stalemate up a little bit here. Probably going to lean towards that classic tag bomb. It has been successful between these two teams in past games this season, so maybe it will work. Nursey's surrounded by her teammates, so I think he's going to have a little bit of trouble as Blank is trying to spam through the window here.
Yeah, and they're actually playing with Nursey in a pretty passive position. A lot of meds, once they get Uber, will scoot way up onto the saw room, which makes it a lot easier to get in if you do a window jump. But both scouts are blocking the window at this time, and Nursey is pretty far back. So they're expecting FROYO Black to make some kind of a move here, and we'll see just what it is.
And here's the tag bomb. He does find a little bit of an opening, but both scouts LG him down. Rando actually getting the unassisted kill there on the tag. So the counter sack or maybe even a push from Ronin is expected, but they drop their pocket. Ubers have not been forced. Both pockets actually going down, and Yance is going in on Habib, finally forcing off the Uber, and it looks like this is going to be a crucial post-Uber fight.
Yeah, it's actually a better fight for FROYO Black right now, because they ended up not having to flash nearly as much, but got distracted there on the flank, so it was a good little flank play from Mela there to pull the Uber back, because had he not done that, his whole team might be dead right now. Shrugger's actually going to go down to tag as well, fighting around in cheese it looks like, and they're going to stack on this cap and maybe continue with that into last, maybe a little tease.
Yeah, we haven't seen any sentries yet from the defensive teams. It looks like they're going to try pushing through the shutter maybe, or they're switching it up. They're kind of just dancing around through lobby, but they can actually go in if they want. They don't have a sentry gun to deal with pushing into last here, but the last time they pulled the trigger on this even Uber situation, it backfired.
Yeah, it's pretty tough here, and it's not the norm in the United States to see a 6v6 Uber versus Uber fight just straight out like that. And so here comes the suicide. It looks like it was Slemnish. It definitely was, and he gets roasted. Tag maybe even might be going down. No, Tag's going to get Shrugger. Shrugger comes in on like a counter suicide play. And now there's another bomb, so Blank's just going to go ahead and go in since we're trading players, but to no avail.
Yeah, Mela up on Sniper. Very aggressive peek all the way in through lobby, trying to get a bead onto Habib. Looking for shade. He's going to be able to see him, and he takes him down! And everybody on FROYO Black is surely going to go down here. The 1v1 in lower is going to be won by Badonsky, and all eyes on Nursey. Can they force the Uber onto Ronin's Nursey? But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Shrugger is... Slemnish is on Sniper in the yard. He doesn't really see anything just yet, but what a shot from Mela.
Yeah, and I think for note, I'm pretty sure that was the first medic death of this entire game. So far, anyways. But now we got this Uber coming in. Tag's gonna try to block it. Not gonna really do anything there. And that should be an easy mid-cap for Ronin.
Yeah, and they're rolling right on through. That med pick has bought them 2 points and a lot of Uber advantage, and they're getting players left and right. They kill Slemnish in the forward spawn area as they haven't even touched the 4th point. They're just pushing on through. They need to send someone to cap. They do have that Uber advantage, but it is dwindling away, but they're pretty happy with those 2 points they got there. Or 3 points.
Yeah, I figured they were going to be more aggressive there and try to wipe out Shade before he could get Uber. They get pretty close, Shade getting down to 30 health, but now it's Nursey getting down low, and Rando's gonna give Blank a little bit of his shotgun.
And Shrugger gets a kill on a tag. They both trade in the lower area. Ronin is up 1 player. I don't know if they're going to decide to push off of it. It looks like they want to, as the tag spawn is actually up on 10 seconds. They lose Mela to a sticky trap from Habib, and that's going to deny any sort of aggression from Ronin. Mela probably going to be going back on Sniper, or maybe even Spy.
Yeah, this would be the time to run your off classes, but so far it does not appear. No, he's rocket jumping out, so that's just Mela going back to Soldier. We do on the other end, well, Blank is going to die to Shrugger, but we also have Sizer and Slemnish on off classes, Engineer and Sniper respectively.
Yeah, Slemnish a very aggressive angle on here in lower, but they're going to be taking it through Shutter. They have a little sentry gun to deal with. They do deal with it, but they don't have too good of positioning. As I say that, Rando and Mela posture up on the truck side. Rando jumping it over the top, hitting two great rockets onto the pile of players near the point. But Donsky hitting every single pipe here as the scouts and Ronin are cleaning everything up. This is surely going to be a Ronin round here.
Yeah, there was a really nice push-in from Ronin there. They came in on the one side and then re-pushed on the other, basically, and then had one Shrugger come through and just instantly kill Shade while he was trying to rotate. And it fell apart from there for FROYO.
A long and grindy round goes to Ronin as we approach the second mid here. Badonsky is getting the better of Habib already on this mid, hitting one sticky on him. A little bit of a passive play so far, no super early aggression. It looks like Rando is going to be the first to jump, and he retreats already. Tag hits a nice rocket onto Yamps. It's another one. Habib finishes off his damage. FROYO Black up one player as Ronin is still staying at mid despite not having that great of positioning. Rando high flying, getting launched in the air, finally goes down, and it's just Badonsky and Nursey just running out through their own saw area. FROYO Black 2-0 on these mids so far this game.
Yeah, Ronin lost a scout early, and that put them on the back foot, so they kind of just tried to go in and see what they could get, and it just led to more death and misery. Blank now actually getting taken straight up by Yamps, still not dead. There they go. So there's Yamps and Badonsky, both down. We should see a quick Uber here, or at least I would like to see one. There we go. So the Uber now is in. Blank flying through the air with the shotgun out. Nursey does not pop until she has like 12 health. And now the response.
Yeah, the post-Uber fight is going to be crucial. Here comes FROYO Black. Sizer leading the charge with Slemnish, just pot-shotting Rando down. Mela taking a lot of damage in the lower area as well, and it looks like FROYO Black is in prime position to finish off this round. Nursey very hurt, but they're losing players left and right. They're getting a little too aggressive, it seems.
Yeah, they ended up getting kind of stopped there in the back left with their whole combo and everything, and the rest of the team was in. So kind of tough for them. They might be able to get back in here since all 6 of their players are alive.
FROYO Black does have a bit of an Uber advantage because of Nursey's milking, and I think they recognize that. Blank going in, Slemnish all the way in, taking a lot of damage from Shrugger. Tag trying to finish off his teammate's damage, but Shrugger just going ham as Habib is left with 9 health. The rest of his team is just dead, and he runs himself into the scout of Ronin. And Ronin winning these equal fights here.
Yeah, that was a tough one for FROYO Black. I think they just tried to get in there. They were 6v5. And that was a pretty good time to go back in there, and then they just got wiped out. So it was just, you didn't orchestrate that one correctly, and now you're gonna end up having to have this slow fight over 2. They will try to get the Uber out of Nursey by way of sniper and forward spawn.
He actually took down Badonsky. Yeah, that's probably the second best pick he could have made onto the enemy demo, and FROYO Black is going to be flooding in here, trying to force the Uber out of Nursey. In fact, they're just getting kills instead, as they have a 2-player advantage, 1 player now, as they force the Uber. Shade is going to be running away with Slemnish. They do get out cleanly. Actually, Tag is stuck in behind. He's surely going to go down, but they do get the trade frag onto Shrugger. No scouts for Ronin as both Mela, Rando, and Nursey retreat through yard. Actually, Mela jumps forward onto Shade, not doing too much damage. Badonsky taking a little bit of an overextension as well, but he does not die for his troubles. Nursey actually arrowing Slemnish across the map, and Ronin doesn't want to give up this point.
Yep, and they're going to fight it over now, but the Uber advantage is going to come into play. They want to get a kill here. So there goes Yamps, going to get taken out by Habib, and that should buy mid, as long as we get decent positioning on here and nobody feeds.
Yeah, Blank going in very deep. Mela there to stump his aggression in the battlements, and this has been a back and forth game here, Marxist. What does FROYO Black need to do to convert this round?
Well, they've had a lot of things that seem just fine. Like the decision making isn't bad, but then something they just get wiped out when things happen. I also probably don't need to go back to the Uber v Uber well. But here comes a push from Ronin, and there's a lot of people hanging out still yet at mid, and they get wiped out. So you do not want to lose 3 players to a known Uber like that.
Yeah, and this is looking catastrophic for FROYO Black. They are going to have Uber advantage, but there's no way they can possibly send it in to defend the second point. They're going to have to turtle up on last or get a little aggressive in lobby. They do have a fat Uber advantage, but it could bite them in the butt if it's not a solid Uber. It looks like Blank wants to take this through Cheese. He does fall all the way through Cheese. Shade not taking too much damage. He actually takes a nice shot from Shrugger, and Shrugger's just dancing around. This Uber is not doing too much from Blank. Sizer and Blank are taking down the players in Yard, but as I say that, Rando actually went through lower and capped the point, I believe.
Yeah, that's gonna happen on those. That fight, that's partly why I say Ubering out of last is so hard, and why you probably have to not want to do it too often, is it's really hard to resolve that fight fast enough before the backcapper could get there without anybody seeing him.
Yeah, an unfortunate end of the round for FROYO Black. They're down 2 rounds against Ronin as this mid transpires. Mela taking a lot of damage. Rando jumping over his teammate, taking down the enemy pocket, losing his life in the process. But look at the positioning from Ronin. Habib hitting a great pipe onto Yamps. Bodonsky is surely going to go down to Slemnish. The positioning is for Ronin, but they are down a player.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for FROYO Black because you don't want to hang around in this for too much longer than you have to, and they're going to decide to back out. That high ground area up there on the wood is really difficult to push if the other team there is established and has more than 120 health or so between the whole lot of them. And we might see a quick push up here. They were kind of teasing it out there with Mela to see what was going on second. But FROYO Black comes back in and puts a stop to those shenanigans.
Yeah, we do have the even Uber situation. It looks like they're going to be sending Shrugger in for the sack play, or is it a distraction? Yomps going in as well, taking a lot of damage. Bull Scouts in the red for the red team, but it looks like they might just be sending Mela or Rando through this window. Both of them were looking like they wanted to push through. Mela does go down to Blank's spam through the lower area. Saw Rando taking a lot of damage as well. Blank does go down to the sticky trap of Bodonsky, and we have stalemating situation here, Marxist. What does Ronin need to do to break through this? It looks like they're going to be pushing through Saw.
Yeah, they're just trying to rotate, basically, because they've got, like, their whole team in Saw right now. And you just want to see if you can get through and get a push going that way when you have a whole crew. And but we also have a James Bond spy man coming up at middle right now in the form of Mela.
Yeah, Mela has successfully off-class so far this game, switching to Sniper, taking down Shade when they were defending their last in the first round, and switching to Spy here, trying to do the same thing, getting that pick onto Shade. I'm not sure if FROYO Black knows this. It doesn't seem like they do. Mela getting in a prime positioning as Rando actually gets a pick on to the enemy pocket as Ubers are exchanged before Mela can even make a play. It looks like he's going to take the free kill on to Tag, giving his team a 1-player advantage. It's 2 now. It's going to turn into 3. Shade taking a lot of pressure from both Mela and Shrugger, and this is definitely going to be a second cap for Ronin. Can they push it into last here, Marxist?
Yeah, they're just going to roll straight onto this and take it to halftime. So that was Mela gets his tag frag and ends up getting, I think, a 2K there on the Spyman class, and that'll roll us into halftime. FROYO Black on the ropes, it seems.
Yeah, they have looked stronger than they did in the previous match on this particular map. They have slowed down the game, but they haven't converted any of the crucial last pushes they've had. I think they've had two last pushes this game that they were unable to convert, and obviously they lost both of those rounds. If they were able to convert just one of them, it could be a completely different story here, but as it stands now, Ronin is up 3-0 and seems to be winning these Uber Uber v Uber fights that have been transpiring throughout this game.
It might almost be a case of FROYO Black trying to pull something out of the bag of tricks, because they are behaving strangely, especially during Uber versus Uber stalemates. I think maybe they're trying to do cute things to surprise Ronin, and it's not working. And sometimes it's not working to the point where you lose 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, I think the most glaring example of that was when they knew they were kind of in a leapfrog situation. They capped mid with using their Uber. Ronin retreated to their second, building theirs. Seemingly, FROYO Black knew that Ronin had Uber, but Ronin's Uber still was able to clean up house, rolling on it through the last. I think that was the second round of the game. So, like you said, a little bit of missteps there from FROYO Black.
Yeah, it was tough. They generally, basically at an open level or above, anytime there's an Uber versus Uber, or Uber versus no Uber, excuse me, you should not be losing 3 players to the team that has the invincible people on it. It should be known, and I don't know what sort of thing happened to them where they forgot.
Yeah, I don't really know about that either. We'll have to watch the demo. I think it was just poor positioning from FROYO Black. But I'm looking at the stats here. Are you looking at them, Marxist? What, if you are, what is the most prominent statistical line? For me, it's definitely Rando at 389 DPM. That kind of shows how good the Ronin Ubers have been this game.
Yeah, that's pretty unusual to have a stat line that good on your pockets of damage. One thing I would point out is that Nursey has died 1 time in the 3 rounds of TF2 that's been played. Although, interestingly enough, Shade has died 300% more times.
Yes.
And still has the same number of Ubers as Nursey.
That is very true. But the damage is about even for both these teams, and the frags are very much spread apart. FROYO Black with 12 less frags as a team, but I guess we can't really analyze the stats that much here, Marxist. We are back. Second half, FROYO Black not taking too much of a break to think about things. They are going into this second half here.
Yep, now we have FROYO Black in the red and Ronin in the blue, and here we go.
Yeah, FROYO Black surprisingly has actually won 2 of the 3 mids this game, despite being down 0-3. Mela initiating the fight, taking some damage to Sizer, takes him down with 2 nice rockets. Rando going down himself, no soldiers alive. Actually, Mela is still actually alive in behind FROYO Black, but FROYO Black is pushing across the point. Mela's going to need to make a play sooner than later, but it looks like he's just going to end up being stuck behind as FROYO Black wins another mid.
It was really strange. Mela got the roamer's dream of going in and 1v1ing a scout and not dying instantly. And he even got a kill off of it. And his team still didn't win. What do you gotta do?
Yeah, and FROYO Black is just rolling on through, capping this point. They probably know Mela still is behind. Mela is just sitting there waiting for Sizer. They're going to be 1v1ing here. Mela wins that 1v1 once again. But it looks like the Uber actually have been exchanged in the lobby. No frags within either of those Ubers. Habib does go down. Rando is the trade frag, but FROYO Black, without a demo, looking to dry push this last point.
Yeah, they're trying to get in here now, and they choose the shutter door, strangely enough. And they're kind of getting bogged down here. Tag's going to die, and they're going to pull back.
Yeah, and they are going to have a bit of an Uber advantage, but Badonsky and Shrugger are pushing through lower. Shrugger completely unspotted. Going to get some free shots onto Shade. 2 is all he needed to take him down. And Ronin is charging forward, trying to keep their medic alive. Nursey not taking any damage. Sizer actually getting a 2k and the health pack, getting some shots onto Nursey. Finally going down himself. Habib comes over through Yard, does take down the medic and gives his team that Uber advantage, and they do somehow manage to win this fight.
Tag with a nice frag onto Shrugger. So really scrappy fight there, goes down to the end and ends up with Shade getting a 5-second Uber advantage or more. So FROYO Black hanging on here. They're going to push in because Nursey and company are not in position yet. They're going to try and get Tag onto the point straight away. That's going to draw out the Ronin players. But they're going to start to get kills or FROYO Black. Just throw your stickies on the point. Deal with this Shrugger over here. There he goes. And now it's a demo v all and it's not going to pan out. So we see FROYO Black take their first round. They're coming back.
Yeah, they are looking very strong so far this second half, dominating the mid and dominating the post-Uber fight there. And see if they can keep on rolling through and make a game of this here. It is 3-1. Ronin is leading, but FROYO Black looking quite strong as Badonsky hits a nice sticky onto Habib. Habib taking a fair amount of damage early on this mid. Blank taking a lick as well. Mela bombing in early with Rando taking down Shade early on. 1v1 in this lower area between Sizer and Mela. Sizer's going to dip out. Mela still at a fat stack of health. Going to be doing the Roamer special potentially with Tag. Tag winning that fight as the mid continues to go on. Yeah, I don't know. I think Nursey might go down here. Sizer's going to be in a precarious spot. He does survive. Nursey going to have her Uber here, whereas Shade did die early on in that mid. And it looks like that's going to just straight up win her team that mid.
Yeah, you want to try and deal with this Uber in some way. Here we are. So there is a Tag right here. Direct rockets, easy. So that's you have to know there's something like that going to happen at mid, because that you do not want that Uber to come for you at second. So right now they got to hold one down. So all you got to do here is hope that Ronin doesn't get overly aggressive on you, and that you can hold for a little bit without Tag. The bomb does come in from Mela, rather. Nothing happens with it. It's pretty bad health. Blank with all 3 of his HPs is going to manage to pull back as Slemnish saves him.
Yeah, they do get Rando as well. No soldiers for FROYO. Excuse me, Ronin. It looks like Shrugger actually wants to go in on the back cap. He's going to have to 1v1 Tag here, as it's going to be drawing Tag and Slemnish back. He gets killed by Slemnish as the rest of FROYO Black is capping off mid. Mela in on Spy. He's already in a pretty good position to make a play on to the enemy medic. He's taking the battlements area, telling his team where they are pushing from, and decloaking, dropping through lower, and Shade is so far away. He needs to cover so much ground here. He might be able to get a free pick onto Habib. He's going to take it. Ubers are exchanged as Bull Scouts deal with Mela, but Rando coming in through that post Uber, taking down one of the scouts. Shade taking a lot of damage from Yamps. Yamps looking down, taking down the pocket in Blank, and Shade is left alone on the midpoint, pressing the suicide button, his kill bind, and Ronin winning off the back of that spy play once again.
Yeah, 2 things of note there. Good on Shade for realizing he's the only player left alive and he is doomed. And using his kill bind to not make this take any longer. And also good on Mela. The transition fight spy play has a much higher rate of success, in my unscientific opinion, than it does when you use it at a last or like a static hold. When the other team is moving around, it's really difficult to tell who is and isn't really on your team.
Yeah, and beyond that, the fact that he got a pick and drew both scouts back just made the positioning for that post-super fight for FROYO Black so poor. It allowed Rando and Yamps to clean up the distraction and damage from Mela's spy play. And here they are with a 50% Uber advantage, pushing into last. They're going to have a sentry gun to deal with on the truck side. Everybody on FROYO Black piled up in that area. The Uber is pushing on through. So much time on the point from Yamps. They're going to have to re-sticky it up as Badonsky and everybody on Ronin is pushing the truck side so aggressively, and finishes off that cap. A nice convincing round from Ronin after that mid-fight.
Yeah, they pulled it back together here and took back another round, taking us to 4-1. With although we do have 20 minutes remaining here, so if FROYO Black can come out here and put together something else for us to see, then we should be in much better shape, and they can get their 3 rounds they need in 20 minutes.
Yeah, Badonsky once again getting the better of Habib on this mid. No early aggression. Last mid, Rando and Mela jumped super early. They're very far back, actually. Rando actually on his own battlement, spamming across the map. Mela right across the way as Blank is taking some ground, but taking a lot of damage in the process. Ronin is playing so passive this mid. Finally, Mela jumps forward, getting pot-shied by both scouts, but the positioning is so poor. What is going on here, Marxist?
And they're just playing a super passive mid strat. Now it actually comes out. They're just going to try and get shade there with what they had left in. So that, I mean, that's a full-on strat. You just play as passively as possible and hope the other team gets bored, basically, and pushes into you. Also, tag somehow goes down, but now we have a solo Uber from Blank. The shotgun comes out. Slumnish is actually going to die to Shrugger here as the response Uber comes, and that's going to come to nothing.
Yeah, and we are going to even up these Ubers, but it looks like Shrugger wants to dry push this. Podolsky following him up. Yam's on the way as well, pushing across the top of mid, taking down Tag. Blank is going to get focus fire down here. He might live. He does go down. Shrugger still pursuing through Saw. Mela double jumping across yard onto Habib, clearing up so much room for his team, and it looks like that's going to buy them the second point as well.
Yeah, so now we have a FROYO Black on the back foot here, and they're on match point here, so if they end up losing this round, that's it. They're down 1-0 in the series, as the push maybe starts to come from Ronin. They tested it out. There's no Sizer right now, so they do have a little bit of a player advantage. There's Shrugger coming in.
And he does go down. He gets popped up by a sticky from Habib. Mela going in as well. He should be able to get out through lobby, but no signs of a counter sack coming from FROYO Black here.
Yeah, it's a little late now in the life cycle to do that, but we might see FROYO Black do some kind of play, just because they do have to figure out how to get 3 rounds in the next 20 minutes or so, and we'll see.
It looks like the play they're choosing is Sizer on Sniper, missing the first shot. Rando actually very low now, but we got the Sniper versus Sniper. Shrugger has been dominant throughout the season in these type of situations.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of an exchange in chat going on, still going yet. Rando asks if they've read their documents, because all their mids are being countered. And FROYO Black just informs them that their mids are bad.
And we have Tag on Spy, so Tag's turn to try out the speedy Spy Man. He does the cloak. He is in a prime position to take out Nursey. Yam spots him out, 2-shots him down, saves his medic, and it might trigger a push here. Actually, they do get a pick onto Shrugger, so that is not going to happen. And time is not on FROYO Black's side. They're going to have to keep mixing it up in order to get out of their last point here.
Yeah, it's definitely in the ability of Ronin to time this out here and just not push for 8 minutes to kind of doom FROYO Black into having to do something. The old park the bus strategy. It might happen, but we've got Slumnish on Sniper here, so that could get some kind of an opening going. Mela's going to die in a sticky trap, so that's going to widen that gap quite a bit. And we'll see what we can get with Slumnish. He's going up, hopping around as snipers do.
Yeah, Tag on Spy still. He's pushing through the lower area. Mela actually choosing to go to Spy. It looks like Shrugger is going to get the dream, dropping Sizer and his lunchbox, killing him and his sentry gun. So that's going to eliminate any sentry gun that they have to deal with, and that's going to trigger the push despite having a Spy from Mela. They're just going in. The Uber is popped much later from Shade. Rando's going to be hopping around here on last as the rest of his team might be gathering in through this truck side. They try to push. They lose 2 players. And that's about it. Mela actually hiding on last. He's spotted out by Sizer, and FROYO Black should be able to get a little bit of ground here through lobby.
Yeah, they should be able to push out here, but I just want to point out, there was a spectacular display on second, where Tag was moving to stab Nursey, right as Spy Mela had respawned and was walking out, like walking up to last, and was directly behind Tag when he uncloaked and was attempting to stab Tag
Oh, man.
as they were heading into lobby.
That's great. But as it stands, Ubers are even once again. FROYO Black is going to have to put the pedal to the metal if they want to get the 3 more rounds they need to tie this game up. There are 17 minutes, 20 seconds left in the game. But it doesn't seem like they are showing any signs of pushing out of this situation.
Yeah, they're not too mobile yet. You want to try and get something going here. Also, Mela is still a spy and is being fed in now. Manages to avoid a lot of the spam. So we now have the sneaky sneaks in there.
Oh, there it is. He gets it. He decloaks right in time and backstabs Shade. That's the second drop Mela has gotten onto Shade this game. And that might be game, set, match. Excuse me, just game, not game, set, match. We have one more map at least in this series. But that might be the game for Ronin, as they have full Uber advantage, pushing into last. Blank already switching on to Engineer. Their pocket went Engineer. They need that little robot buddy to provide another form of defense, as Ronin is looking to push through lower. The Uber is popped from Nursey. They're taking in Rando and Badonsky. Rando getting pushed across the map by that sentry gun. So much time being put onto the point from Sugar. Yams capping off the point. And that is all she wrote for FROYO Black on Snakewater. We are going to be transferring to CP Sunshine next. What do you think needs to happen for FROYO Black to bounce back into this series?
I mean, FROYO Black had a really hard time dealing with Mela's spy there, and also a sniper, so that's gonna make things tough if you're losing Shade that way. And a lot of their pushes just didn't work, and they had solid mids. If you went by mid wins alone, FROYO Black had a really solid shot of winning this game. But then after they won the mid, and nothing could go well for them. Everything got messed up. So we'll see if that changes on Sunshine, if they can continue to win mids and maybe figure out how to push. They would have a lot better shot at winning.
Yeah, but for the time being, we're going to take a short break here as we wait for the new server to be posted on ESEA. So we will be right back. Ronin leading 1-0 in this best of 3 series, round 1 ESEA season 22 playoffs. So we'll see you in a hot minute. Hello again, we're back after a short break. I hope you guys had enough time to get your snacks and take a little restroom break, but here we are, second map. Marxist, we got CP Sunshine. FROYO Black is down 1-0 to Ronin. What do they need to do to bounce back into this game? They kind of lost quite decisively on Snakewater there.
Yeah, their mids on Snakewater were fine, which breaks all of the rules about TF2 that whenever people say, well, how does TF2 work? You usually say, well, the team that wins mid the most tends to win the match. And that did not happen at all in the last game. FROYO Black really struggled to get pushes together or to maintain their momentum. They need to hold it together a little bit better coming forward into Sunshine. And to help them do that, one little point of history here is so far this season, Ronin did not really have to play this map. They got a forfeit win, and then they had a match against Champ GG, which I don't imagine they took overly seriously. Not a huge barb thrown the way of Champ GG, but if you're Ronin, they probably didn't really worry about it too much. And Sunshine's still a map that's relatively new to the rotation, so not everybody has played it 10,000 times like they have Snakewater. Whereas FROYO Black had to play the match twice against 2 fairly decent teams, so at least they won pretty convincingly. So maybe Sunshine is their wheelhouse.
Yeah, it could definitely favor FROYO Black. I know this iteration of Sunshine is not everybody's favorite map. I believe, as we mentioned, this is not the newest version of Sunshine. It wasn't the newest version of Snakewater either. But I think as far as the difference between this version and the one that's played currently in like PUG systems and even matchmaking, this is the most drastically different map. The chokes are a little bit more open to push through, and some of the platforms are widened, and last is very much different as well. So there's a lot of little things changed on this map, as we mentioned on previous maps. And I don't know how these teams are going to really plan it, as they may have been practicing on the newer version, whether it be just pugs or matchmaking or anything of the like.
Yeah, the old rule of thumb on this map in its older iterations is that in order to win, your soldiers need to not shoot the ground, which is the complete. That's all you do. When you go to Little Soldier School on your first day of TF2, you learn shoot the ground. And on this map, you cannot do that because the ground is not level, and it changes elevation so much that you will always miss if you shoot at the ground. Your explosion will not hit the target. You have to shoot at the flat walls around the target, and then you can get a little bit of success. I've seen as the map has evolved and is changing still, the ground is becoming more and more, I'll say, sensible. So that a fundamental rule of four of the 12 players is not being changed so drastically. So we'll see if they know to do that here.
Yeah, and what are your kind of favorite strategies on mid? I know this is one of it probably is the biggest mid in competitive TF2 currently. It is gigantic. You see a lot of roamers get behind very early or just posture up in a very passive position, being able to traverse the openness of the mid very quickly. What do you like to see teams do on these types of mids? On Snakewater, we've seen a lot of passiveness. Can we expect to see from these teams on this map?
In general, this season in Invite, the mids have been quite passive. That's been a general trend of like the last, I'd say, 2 or 3 seasons. And on this particular map, what you typically see is a team's going to pick a side, either left or right, usually fairly arbitrarily, and then they're just going to ride or die playing passive on the doorway that they've got. So if you hold, if you're blue and you come into mid and you go right, you can escape through the cafe if things go bad. And if you go left, you can escape through cauliflower or whatever you want to call it. Some people call it flowers. And you can go that way and make your way out. So you've always got some good little escape route. Sitting in choke doesn't really work, is not a viable option. It's hard to see from back there. So usually they'll just pick a side and then ride or die.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Usually the soldiers take the high ground, jumping on top of their own roof of cafe or the enemy's roof, or even mid, but taking high ground very, very early is what I generally see on this map out of soldiers. Scouts kind of dance around Tetris and whatnot, but I agree, very passive. Sometimes you do see soldiers jump all the way in through the enemy team's valley, and that can stir things up a bit, but generally, like you said, it is a very passive mid. It definitely leans toward passive play styles, but we do have 12 players in the server here, Marxist. Now that we've seen the first game, do you believe in FROYO Black still?
I would like to believe in FROYO Black still, but they did not turn in the greatest performance there. Although Tag did render some excuses on Twitter as to why he wasn't able to get Nursey very much. So we'll see if they have similar performance here. I would like to think that during this time, they are debating with each other how it is that they push in the game of TF2, and that they sort that out, because their mids were fine. And I imagine usually if a team is good at one mid, that usually they can sort out what to do on the next. So I'd like to think that they get a chance here if they can get themselves together and take us to a great granary.
Yeah, history has been a little bit skewed here, as Ronin has historically been dominating mids throughout the season. I think they only won 2 last game, and like you said, whoever wins mid generally wins the game, but Ronin only won 2 mids and won very convincingly 5-1 last game. So we will see what happens. I think if Ronin starts winning more mids, this could turn out of hand very quickly for FROYO Black.
Yeah, they'll have to start scraping the bottom of the barrel to pull out some of their extra strats that they might have accumulated over the years. And we'll see if that ever turns out. Because sometimes you've got them, but it looks like we are getting ready to pick sides here. So we should be starting.
Nice. So, speaking of alternative strategies, we have seen Shade pop onto that crit streak early on in games, running it to mid several times this season. So, if worse comes to worse, we might see that out of the FROYO Black's medic. But this is the second game of a best-of-3 playoffs, round 1 between FROYO Black and Ronin. If Ronin wins, they send FROYO Black into the losers bracket and continue their way in the upper bracket of this ESEA-Invite season. And both demo men are rolling out to mid, both taking the same route, both hitting the slide. Podolsky taking a lot of damage early on from Habib. It looks like FROYO Black is opting to posture themselves on their own side, tag on his lonesome in his own flank, just spamming across the map, waiting for the opportune time to double jump off that wall. He's kind of getting isolated out here as Blank and Mela meet on top of the point. Blank hitting in 2 nice rockets, not cleaning up any of his own damage, and FROYO Black is standing strong here, posturing up on the point. So much damage into this Ronin team. No kills are done just yet. Tag does get one onto the enemy roamer, and it looks like FROYO Black is going to win another mid here. What happened there?
Well,
Marxist?
it would have turned out okay for Ronin, but as Tag was falling to the ground with 9 HP, Shade managed to catch him with an arrow, and without that death coming, it ended up being a 2-man advantage for FROYO Black, and that was time for Ronin to pull out. Although, we now have Mela back on the spy that served him so well in Snakewater, so he's going right back to that. And Shade is actually going to kill Yomps as well during this. And the Force comes out as well from the tag bomb while I was staring at Mela. And now the Uber response as well from FROYO Black.
Yeah, they're going to get Shrugger, Mela in behind, super deep. Rando actually going to get picked off as well. If Mela can't get this pick, it looks like he's in prime position to get the pick onto Shade. He is just running behind Shade. He gets spotted out by Slemnish, and FROYO Black is looking to roll this in onto last with that fat player advantage. Habib getting stickies onto the point as Sizer is capping it off, and that's all she wrote for the first round. FROYO Black coming in strong, winning the mid and pushing into last.
Yeah, usually, get 1 spy pick, get 2 spy picks, then the other teams are really mad. They probably won't fall victim to it again, but we shall see. A solid round for FROYO Black, bringing it on back.
Yeah, and another elongated mid to be expected here as both teams kind of posture up on their respective sides of the map. Rando all by himself pushing into the enemy team, taking a fair amount of damage from Slemnish. Tag coming in over the top to finish off the frag. Well, player advantage is to no one just yet. Both teams down a soldier. It looks like Mela goes down. No soldiers for Ronin. Shrugger all by himself on the left side here. He's going to be 1v1ing Slemnish, getting the better of him early on. Slemnish does finally finish him off. The player advantage reigning supreme for FROYO Black as they try to roll this into second once again.
And Tag, for whatever reason, holds out the equalizer. I guess maybe to run Shade faster towards the health pack? And then dies immediately to a scout. And we have a pause. So, I don't know if you have a Scrabble game set up yet, Truk, but we might have to go down that road.
We might, especially... Oh my god. Excuse me. Especially if FROYO Black keeps rolling on through, we will have a third map, and hopefully there is no internet issues for any of these players. Maybe Ronin needs to regroup and figure out what's going on, because as many of you may not know, the Source TV feed is about 2 minutes in the future, so if FROYO Black rolls in here again, maybe it's a tactical pause from Ronin to kind of regroup and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I've used that tactic myself in my playing days. I remember distinctly we were about to go down 3-0, and so we just paused and typed in Can you feel your momentum draining away yet? And then once the other team said yes, we unpaused.
But it looks like FROYO Black is not going to be rolling through. That losing their roamer there in that situation kind of stumped their push, but they drop Rando as they continue to push through the valley area. They do force out the Uber. Blank forces the Uber, and they get another pick from Tag. Sizer leading the charge, getting some free shots in onto Shrugger, still not taking him down, but they're going to be catching out Bodonsky and Mela. Excuse me, Mela and Shrugger. Bodonsky's still alive in the lobby, and FROYO Black winning convincingly every single fight so far this game.
Yeah, pushing through Cauliflower like that puts your medic in a lot of danger, because any soldier can just jump all the way out and cut off his escape route. And that's what exactly happened to Nursey there, and made life so difficult for Ronin. And we end up getting a pretty good exchange out of just they were teasing in with Rando just to see what they could get, and Rando ends up getting picked again, and so that should see a push right away. They may even go in before they get Uber, but no, they're going to think better of it and reposition.
Yeah, they're opting to go through the top right area, popping through without taking any sort of damage or pressure. Blank forcing the Uber, actually not forcing the Uber from Nursey. Nursey doesn't have it just yet. This could completely backfire for FROYO Black, as Nursey has that full Uber advantage, pushing into second. Shrugger getting the opening frag, another for him onto Habib and Slemnish, or excuse me, Slemnish and Tag. And Ronin still using their Uber and getting stumped in the process.
Yeah, a solid start to that whole affair from Shrugger, and then it just fell apart. So maybe the evil from the previous game was passed on, the curse. But 3 down still for Ronin. They're now just 1. They get their respawns here. Sizer's going to try and get in, see what he can do, but no go. And we are back to a sort of reset position here. But Shade, with about 40-some-odd% Uber advantage, going to go with that soon.
Yeah, Shrugger going in on the counter sack, losing his life. Shade actually is getting his Uber right now. They might be able to push off that small one-player advantage here, as Shrugger is still yet to spawn back up. It looks like they're going to be regrouping. Sizer's still not with the team. Why is Sizer on Sniper here? They have such a huge advantage.
Well, this appears to be an error at this time. Maybe they just don't like pushing with Uber advantage. They're spooked.
Yeah, I guess it's just a miscalculation, not keeping track of those Ubers, as Shade actually loses about a 50% Uber advantage here, as Sizer is looking to make the opening frag for his team. He might not be able to get a bead onto anybody, as Ronin is postured very far forward.
Yeah, Blank goes and teases out that sticky trap and gets the attention, but no kills yet for the sniper. Lots of targets for Sizer to shoot at, but he can't manage to connect, at least with the brain box of any of his opponents. And Tag actually pretty hurt as well as Blank. So a little bit of shifting here from Ronin as well. They're going to manage to take Sizer out. And that should cause a retreat from the lobby area, and that looks like that's what FROYO Black is doing.
Yeah, Habib gets his stickies. Mela might get another pick here. He gets one. Rando goes down as well, so no soldiers again for Ronin. FROYO Black, even Ubers, but they don't have any soldiers to deal with currently as they push in through this upper right area, milking away here. Shade is finally popping the Uber off onto Tag. Tag trying to force the Uber from Nursey. Finally does that. Nursey is going to have a substantially longer Uber. Rando trying to lock Shade out. Takes him down. Mela backing him up. Getting a frag of his own. 3 frags to none for Ronin. It looks like they might be able to get a 4th onto Blank, as Blank is battling everybody in the lobby. He does go down. Ronin getting the much better of that situation.
Yeah, not a particularly good Uber there. And they're going to end up falling back to mid. Shade also goes down. So that's going to hurt pretty bad here. Now, this would be the time where you want to try the dry push, maybe, if you're FROYO Black. Because if you just sit here, Nursey is probably going to use the Uber advantage on you at some point. Or not. You don't really know. But the Uber building is still coming up pretty good for Nursey, so But it looks like they're content to just hide in the back and get ready to try and absorb this Uber as a mid-fight.
Yeah, last time we saw this on Snakewater, Ronin actually got 3 frags with their Uber. It looks like it's not going to happen just yet, but they aren't actually going to have to use their Uber. They're just getting the second or midpoint cleanly as Shade evens up the Ubers. And again, we have an equal Uber situation. The ball is in Ronin's court as they do have mid control, and the Uber actually is forced out of Shade, and they lost their pocket in the process as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, Blank lost the Uber for just a little bit after having very low health, but he probably had 2 frags there. And they're going to manage to get Shrugger and Badonsky. The Uber comes in from Nursey. It's chasing him off a second, but we've got players behind here. For FROYO Black, it's Tag. You definitely saw Nursey there.
Yeah, and here comes the rest of FROYO Black, but Yomps is going to take out both Scouts and Tag, and he's looking to charge forward, taking a lot of damage. But Yomps going huge for his team. It looked like there was an opportunity for a repush, but Yomps completely denying it, and he's trying to actually peek through this top right area to see if he can find some room for his team, but chooses to retreat back with his team. Shade does have Uber advantage, but like you said, pushing out a last is very dangerous, even if you do have Uber advantage.
Well, yeah, and attacking a scout that's on high ground is extremely difficult. So we saw a scout win essentially a 3v1 purely, well, not purely, but in part because of a rather good height advantage position out there standing on the second point. So we'll see. We got Sizer running the engineer and Slemnish running sniper. That'll be their defensive choice here for this last. And FROYO Black does not want to give this up because that would result in a tie game. They are going to get Mela, so we trade Blank for Mela and see somewhat of a push.
Yeah, Yomps going in as well. They'll be down a player if he goes down, so that might open up the doors for at least a counter sack. It looks like Tag is looking to go through lobby here. He's completely undetected, but Shrugger's going to spot him out. Is it too late? He gets 2 nice rockets onto Nursey and forces the Uber.
Yep, and the Uber is coming in now. Rando trying to shotgun down himself a demo. It's not going to happen. Blank comes in to save the day, and Shade still has Uber.
And Mela looking to drop that Uber again on Spy. Third time is the charm, I guess. Mela's last 2 attempts on Spy have failed here, but he's cloaked, completely undetected. He's trying to get a backstab onto Habib. Actually, he's opting to go onto the sentry gun, or he's kind of just dancing around. Shrugger gets the pick, and Mela doesn't inform him about the sentry gun, and Shrugger just dies in front of his teammate. But Mela misses the backstab onto Shade, doesn't get the pistol shots off to force the Uber, but all that time is being drained. Nursey approaching Uber herself as Habib is leading the charge for his team, pushing onto the second point,
It was
taking out Rando.
A strange series of events there, Truk.
Yeah.
But it'll be good for the comedy reel, and we've got now an Uber versus Uber, and Mela is apparently Spy again. So, operating on the logic of, they would never think I would go Spy again.
And he gets a nice safe decloak, and he might get this backstab onto Shade. Shade actually rolling on forward, separating himself from the enemy Spy. Here he is right on top, misses the backstab, misses the Ambassador headshot, does force the Uber, Yomps does, and FROYO Black is forced to retreat through their own valley. Targeting Skybox here, surfing his way to the rest of his team and denying any sort of push from Ronin, but Ronin is getting a lot of ground, and it looks like they should be able to get second point off of this.
Well, I don't know. Tag's getting Skybox there, saved his life, and now we're gonna be able to push back out as FROYO Black. And they've got a Shrugger trapped right in against them. Or excuse me, that was Yomps. And Nursey is going to die from fall damage.
Oh my god, Habib just destroyed Nursey. I think that was a air sticky dat that actually shot Nursey down to crater her. And everybody on FROYO Black is playing off of that pick. Shrugger on Sniper. Habib taking matters into his own hands and gets another kill onto Shrugger. Habib showing his superior DM skill here, giving his team that fat Uber advantage. And going in through choke again. He's just taking this game and pushing forward all by himself. Tag regrouping with him. Tag doing a lot of damage onto the enemy roamer. Habib sticking off the shutter. He's going to meet Mela, pushing him to the lower area as his scout buddy finally cleans up that frag, but the Uber is popped from Shade.
Yeah, a nice series there from Habib to get really aggressive. I'm surprised one of those scouts did not attempt to kill him. They just played a little passively there, and now we've got Nursey with the Uber. Got to figure out what to do with that. They may try to push out here. This is still just the second round of this young, as of yet young Sunshine match.
Yeah, and it looks like Ronin's going to be trying to push out with that Uber advantage. Tag getting a kill in the process. Uber has not been popped just yet from Nursey. She finally is forced from a nice sticky from Habib, but everybody on FROYO Black is out of there. So a 1-for-1 trade at the expense of an Uber for Ronin.
Yeah, a really strange call there not to have anyone try to go to last. There also was no coverage for Ronin at last. So that would have really distracted that play pretty much altogether. Mela's also going to die. Mela having a pretty rough go of it here with I guess maybe the spies throwing him off, and also Rando going to get taken out by Slemnish. Maybe going to keep going as Slemnish as well. No, that's actually going to be given to Sizer. We got both scouts coming down this left side, but Slemnish will not be able to get through that door.
Yeah, Badonsky taking control of the lobby, not letting the scouts push through there, apply any more pressure than they already have. Speaking of scouts applying pressure, Yams taking down Tag very cleanly on the battlements, and that's going to give Ronin a 2-player advantage, pushing into second with that Uber advantage to boot.
Oh, and Shrugger's going to die in a sticky trap, and Sizer as well is going to get taken out by Rando. So we might see some kind of aggression come out here. Yeah, there's some jumping around in flowers, as it were, a soldier v soldier, and it's going to be won by Mela over Blank, and that's going to put FROYO Black in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, they're going to be forced to retreat out of mid. A clean mid cap for Nursey and friends. They still have Uber advantage. I don't know if they want to force it on to Shade. Shade about to get his. It looks like they're going to let this stalemate up and play off of a sack play.
Yes, they decided not to go with that. With 2 players down, you can't really do too much to block that mid or even really harass it. And we'll see what they're going to do here now. Tag just jumping around all crazy like. And there's actually a scout in here now, and Yumps is going to trade out with it, but Rando going to die from fall damage from Blank.
Yeah, that's going to give the player advantage to FROYO Black. Sizer opening it up for his team, coming through Valley with Shade, actually. Shade and Sizer just in super deep. Shade refusing to pop on his low health scout. Ubers are exchanged, and FROYO Black is just pounding right now. They're not getting any frags. They're doing so much damage, but they do get mid control with the Uber exchange.
Yeah, it's a strange decision here to see them stack the point like that, because that could have given Ronin a chance to get back in. But I guess Ronin just decides not to play off of that. And so now we're back holding mid is FROYO Black. And we'll see what they decide to do. They may wait this out for Uber, or they might try to dry push it and keep Shade in a more passive position. Mela's going to go down to Slemnish over on the flank, and that's going to bring a push in led by a scout. Sizer going to go down, so is Blank. And Shade to Yomps as well. But Nursey's going to get taken out as well by Slemnish. So now we just have a really scrappy fight that's going to be played by players relying on health packs.
Yeah, Badonsky hits a nice pipe on a tag, and Shrugger wants to kill Habib. Habib has a couple stickies to defend himself, but at the end of the day, Ronin wins that fight convincingly. Both medics do go down. Ubers are going to even up once again, but I'm guessing Ronin's going to want to dry push this. Or maybe even
Yeah,
fight this at mid, as FROYO Black wants to dry push this, knowing that they had that spawn advantage. They're going to actually take down Badonsky, so not too much spam is going to be coming from Ronin for the time being, and FROYO Black pulling the trigger in this situation.
Yeah, and they're bringing it on quick. This is what you like to see. So now Shrugger is down. No Badonsky is like the best idea for a push ever. And then just getting additional kills. So really poor play there from Ronin allows FROYO Black to get up here, and they want to keep rolling forward, especially with the Ubers getting close. But Nursey's got a little surprise there, and we might end up seeing it go out. Yeah, there's the Uber going down on Habib and Blank. If Shade dies here, it would be catastrophic.
Yeah, Shade actually popping his Uber in front of his dead roamer tag. Both scouts are just running around, and it looks like Shade is surely going to get taken down here. Everybody on Ronin is pushing out, but Sizer is defending his medic valiantly, taking down Yomps and Rando. Mela finally finishes off the frag, but Sizer getting the 3K and getting destroyed by Nursey at the end of that. But that 3K is allowing FROYO Black to retain the second point, as Blank is actually in on last, hits a nice air shot on to Shrugger, but gets taken down.
Yeah, that was strange. When Blank saw how open that was, maybe he should have brought a buddy. They probably would have got it then. But now you're in a pretty tough spot where you have a sniper trying to defend this point with less players than normal. But it seems like it's going okay so far. Sizer going to get taken out by Shrugger, and Tag's going to get taken out by Badonsky, and that's probably all she wrote for holding second for FROYO Black.
Yeah, and FROYO Black is going to be stuck with the sniper. It's not necessarily a bad thing. The sightlines are pretty insane for Slemnish to work with. He's just sitting in his cafe area. The Uber is forced from Nursey. Everybody on FROYO Black has retreated out. They probably will not suffer any players deaths here, as Rando is in the sky getting LG'd down by Slemnish's SMG, and Shade is about to get the Uber of his own. Here's the leapfrog situation here, Marxist. What does FROYO Black need to do here?
Yeah, FROYO Black needs to try to get through this without popping Uber. So far it looks really good. If they could get a kill or two, that's even better.
Mela's playing spy as soldier. He's just hiding in the corner here. He and Shrugger are in behind. Shrugger's getting so much cap time. Mela denying any sort of players getting back to Shrugger. Shrugger gonna cap it off. Can he get to last here and finish off this round? Blank is on a hot pursuit, but Shrugger's just eyeballing the point here. He's gonna be 1v1ing Tag here. Tag is half health. Blank does come in to help finish off the frag onto Shrugger, but what a play from Mela and Shrugger playing behind FROYO Black.
Yeah, a really solid play from the flank there to bring it back, and it also baited out a really bad Uber from FROYO Black, where they had to basically just do a solo Sizer Uber. And that's not knocking Sizer, but that's a little tough to do as far as getting anything done at that mid. So that's how you can derail the whole thing, with just a little bit of back cap. Tag's going to go in and force this Uber in the flank, and they're going to work up his Ronin immediately. Rando just going straight to last. He wants Shade and is not going to get it, but we've also got Mela there also wanting Shade quite badly, and Shrugger's going to die as well. The Uber is popped, and they're going to go for Nursey, but Sizer gets dead at the door.
Yeah, Sizer unfortunately not getting the tail end of the Uber there. I think he got another 3K there from the aggressive Ronin players, and that's going to give his team a 3-player advantage as they push into second. Gomps getting taken down by Blank. Blank hitting some crispy rockets. Tag trying to follow up his damage, but Badonsky hitting a 2-pipe onto Tag. Everybody is playing so aggressive right now. Shrugger getting a kill on the flank, and Blank is all by himself in front of Cafe, but Habib jumps into his own death. This might be a disaster for FROYO Black, as each players are falling one after another. Finally retreating into lobby here is Shade and Sizer.
Yeah, Habib may be going for the play of his life there. He saw everyone collected, and also, you know, the time is getting pretty short here now in this half, so that could start to become a major factor in teams' decision making, since at least for FROYO Black, if it's too risky now, you don't really necessarily want to jump into 4 players to choke. But I guess it could have broke the whole game open.
Yeah, that it could. But as it stands, there are 7 minutes left in the game. We do have a stalemate situation on last. We do have the standard sniper and engineer defense from FROYO Black. What does Ronin need to do to break through here?
Well, they're going to have to figure out a way to get a different off-class. Yeah, there's Shrugger going down to pipes. We may see a counter-sack come out. It looks like it's going to come from Blank. He's already working up in, but they were wise to that and have already left. And we'll see if they decide to do anything more with
Shrugger actually back on scout, so they're choosing not to have any off-class whatsoever. They're actually popping their Uber into the sentry gun. It hasn't been taken down. They finally get it down with about half their Uber remaining. Habib stuffing the retreating players of Ronin, doing so much damage. They need to finish off the frags. That they do in lobby. The counter Uber is a success from actually Tag here. Slemnish trying to get in. Shrugger denying the pressure from Slemnish, but he might go down here as he retreats through choke. So much damage being dealt to the Ronin players, but no one is going down just yet. Shrugger finally goes down. The cap is going to be capped off from FROYO Black as Sizer is just charging into mid already, backing off. But so much pressure coming from both these teams in these post-Uber fights.
Yeah, that was a really strange play because it's so hard to get in there, get the Uber off, and kill the gun without, and also pop the other team's Uber and have it not be terrible. But they bomb in, take out Nursey, and lose most of the team. They lose half of it for Nursey and Badonsky. So this is still a winnable fight for FROYO Black here. They even it up with Yomps going down, but Habib taken down. The Uber is also popped, so invincible players can usually do pretty well. Rando is sneaking around underneath, though, is being sussed out by Sizer, who's going to take him down. So a strange exchange there that results in only 3 players being alive for Ronin. They got the Uber out, though, I guess, in hindsight.
Yeah, the Ronin spawners are going to be approaching mid here shortly, but as it stands, FROYO Black does have that player advantage. They are going to continue onto that player advantage, getting 2-3 picks of their own. I think Sizer is on a 6K right now. He might get a 7th on Mela. Sizer is absolutely on fire, picking off all the players around his team. Shade does go down. Nursey is going to have that Uber advantage, but it looks like FROYO Black might be able to cap off mid before they are forced to retreat.
Well,
but they're not going to be forced to retreat. Sizer going to actually kill Nursey. Oh my god. Marxist, what happened?
I think we might have to check Sizer for performance-enhancing drugs. Because he is going crazy. Sizer has decided that it is his time now. And he will not be losing anymore to Ronin.
Yeah, FROYO Black flipping this last round back on... upside down and back again, and they are again in a situation to push last with an Uber advantage. Mela looking to get a little cheeky through this lower area. If he goes down, that might open up the doors for Shade and friends. He misses the air shot onto Shade, but he should be able to get the pick onto Habib. He does get taken down by Sizer. Shrugger finishes off his roamer's damage. No demo for FROYO Black, but they do have the Uber advantage. They are losing players though.
Yeah, it's tough out here in this situation, because you don't expect them to get so aggressive, because they'll lose the round if they lose too many players. Yeah, now the Uber is going to come out. Nursey does not have any sort of invincibility yet to respond with, but not going to be able to force the Uber is Slemnish there. Shade also going to go down outside, so this will be a push out for Ronin. It should go pretty straightforwardly.
Yeah, and they do have enough time to win this round and tie it up before halftime. There is 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game, or excuse me, this first half. And like I said, they have that Uber advantage. Slemnish is actually on Sniper. He has, again, a very good angle. And as I say that, Habib takes down Shrugger, and that's going to slow Ronin down a little bit as Slemnish is getting very aggressive in the flank area.
And they're pushing in to force out that Uber here. They even sent Habib to do it, who's still in there. Almost gets the cheeky debt on Badonsky.
And he actually kills Rando as well as almost getting that cheeky debt. but Ronin is charging forward. Yamps at a fat stack of health does take down the sniper, and he's pushing through choke. Sizer, I believe, is still alive throughout all of this. But they did force the Uber out at the expense of a roamer and their demo man.
And they managed to get a lot of forward spawns out here, so this is pretty great for them right now. In FROYO Black, they may actually try to use this to push. We'll see. Blank is moving pretty aggressively right now, right into the face of a scout. Doesn't see him, I guess.
What was that? Yam's just standing still, taking down Blank, and this is a bit of an awkward situation. Badonski's actually behind in choke, doing a little bit of damage. Sizer does take him down. Tag forces the Uber out of Nursey. Shade and Tag just hopping around. Shade launched in the air, does get taken down, and there is a minute left in this game. Shrugger and the rest of Ronin can roll this on through. All they need to do is clean up Habib, and they do just that. They keep their medic alive. A sentry gun is going up from Blank, but time is not on Ronin's side here. They are pushing into last. They do take down the sentry gun very cleanly. They do regroup. They're going to get these buffs here, as they probably are going to be going top right. They're going to be leading with Mela and Yamps, maybe? I don't know. They're being a little indecisive here, looking each way. But at the end of the day, it looks like they're going top right. Habib has some stickies for them. And Blank, once again, is going to get that sentry gun up. So this is a crucial last push here. Badonski trying to get some stickies onto the sentry gun. They take it down very early. Shrugger getting a lot of cap time. He might actually be able to cap off the whole point, and he does with 18 seconds remaining. Ronin get back into this game. It is 1-1 coming into half here, Marxist.
Yeah, that's going to be the end there. It was, I don't know, FROYO Black had a good defense there with the ultra heavy sentry gun defense, but they just didn't get on the point to stop it. All you have to do at that point, I mean, it could be over right now. All you got to do is stop them from capping there with one of your soldier classes, or waddle the heavy towards it, and you're good to go. But they just never got on the point and lost a round because of it.
Yeah, and things have been very back and forth this game. It's hard to tell like who was even winning these mids. I believe FROYO Black is continuing to win the mids this map, but these Uber exchanges have been nuts. The post Uber fights have been all over the place, and it seems like it's just coming down to raw DM. But I'm just pressing tab here, and Nursey and Shade both have over 100 points already this game, Marxist. That's insane.
Yeah, and we should all. Sizer has quite a number of points as well. More than any other combat class in the server by 10 or so. I know combat class points are always the greatest measure, since you can you get those cap points a lot of the time, but still, he is having an exceptional game so far. And
Yeah.
as I said to you earlier, not tonight, but in a previous cast, usually when you see a really slow first half like that, we're going to see a really fast second half.
Yeah, and that statement usually holds true. Both teams are like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell, because this game has been quite fast paced despite the low score. So I don't know, maybe it actually might slow down further, because it has been a fairly high tempo game, but the rounds have just not really been converted too much. But I hope the tempo stays high. We will see. As I load up the stats here, and as we've expected, Sizer is in the pwn zone. Has the most frags in the server, 31 for him, and he's been playing very close to his medic and just defending him throughout this game. I think he's had multiple 3Ks, maybe. I want to know how many kills he got on that one life. It seemed like 9. Ridiculous performance, and he has a fairly low amount of deaths as well.
Yeah, Sizer is just playing exceptionally well right now. So maybe Sunshine's his map, or losing 5-1 to Ronin there kind of lit the fire in him and had him become Ultra Sizer.
Yeah, and the rest of his team is doing quite solidly. The soldiers are kind of not putting in the frags, but they are putting out the damage. And I think Rando once again is top damaging the server, so Rando proving to be the stronger pocket in this series so far.
Yep, definitely so far. As much as it pains me to say it, Blank is my boy. Getting outplayed right now slightly.
But yeah, we got that green text again. These teams are right into it. FROYO Black trying to force that game 3. They are down 1 game, but it is a tie game on this map here, as both demos are exchanging sticky bombs. Rando going in quick and opting to jump away immediately, as FROYO Black has a little bit better positioning on this mid early on. It looks like Rando is below the point, trying to spam out tag as he gets taken down by the enemy pocket. Mela coming in over the top, actually not converting any frags. He finally gets one onto Sizer, but once again, FROYO Black winning these mids in this series.
Yeah, really solid mid win for FROYO Black. They got good damage early and then just kind of crept up off of that. And all they managed to do is lose Sizer, so that's pretty solid for a mid, although at relative to last round, not having Sizer kind of hurts overall. Given how well he's been playing. Mela's gonna try to get in there, but gonna get wiped out. Brando goes in as well. Shade's still not gonna pop the Uber. They are 3 down. No better time to go.
Yeah, and they don't have a sentry gun that they have to deal with. Generally, that's the biggest problem pushing into this last year, but they don't have to worry about it. Habib forces the Uber early on. He's going to back away and get a frag onto Shrugger. Only 2 players left alive for Ronin. They get the 3 spawners. They need the cat presence right now. Does FROYO Black. Everybody on Ronin is storming across the point, but everybody, actually 3 players on FROYO Black were actually behind the point and just wobbled right onto it. And here we are, FROYO Black in the lead once again.
Yeah, they kind of caught Ronin on the back foot there after that fight. They had players available to block the point, but they weren't in really any position to get there. And it was just too late for them at that point. So a really good decision to go in and well executed.
And can FROYO Black continue their momentum onto this mid here? They have been winning these mids fairly convincingly. Tag and Mela are going to be doing the roamer exchange. No one goes down just yet. Blank taking out Rando, who almost takes down Habib. Habib at a decent stack of health now, as it looks like, again, FROYO Black is just winning these mids. What is going on?
Yeah, they're playing out these passive mids quite well. We also saw Habib do quite a lot of damage to Badonsky at the start of the mid as well, which also is a huge help, especially when the other team's trying to play so passively. So FROYO Black staying in it, hanging around, going up 1 round to start, so it puts us at 2-1 in the game, and they're down 0-1 overall. So they need this game to stay in the winner's bracket. They do not want to go down.
Yeah, they do not, and they can afford to just play incredibly slow if they really want to. They are up 1 round, as you just mentioned, and it looks like they're not going to do that. They're sending Tag in. He gets air shot, hits no rockets, actually 1 rocket onto Nursey, but gets fragged out of the sky by Yamps. So that's going to trigger the push from Ronin or the counter stack. It looks like Shrugger and Mela are going to be trying to free up this flank area. They do not convert any sort of frags, but the rest of their team is pushing through Cafe. Rando and Blank are going to do the Uber exchange, and this is all about the post-Uber fight here, Marxist. It looks like Ronin has very good ground here.
Yeah, Ronin got in quite deeply and is going to manage to take out Shade. Now you have to make a decision if you're FROYO Black, if you just sell out to get Nursey here, or you cut your losses. And it looks like they're going to do a little bit of both. Tag is going to try to go in, not really get a whole lot done. Sizer as well, going to manage to die. And Tag makes it out though, I guess. Yep, there he is back on second. So they have pulled out, and Nursey has the huge advantage. Probably not going to be under threat here for second either.
Yeah, Habib has some stickies on the point. They haven't been spotted out just yet. Actually, not at all. He does actually det them, and Rando gets a frag onto the enemy pocket. And they are looking to push this player and Uber advantage into last. No sentry gun to deal with. It does finally get built, but a level 1 is not nearly as strong as a level 2 or 3. They're going to take it down. No, they actually aren't going to take it down just yet. They finally do. They get some good positioning on the right side, but look at all the cap presence they have. Trugger and Yomps playing right around the point, and Trugger is getting free reign to get some easy kills, and that is the round for Ronin. Coming back strong, tying the game up once again. And as you said, Marxist, this is a very fast game after that slow first half.
Yeah, but it's kind of a reverse psychology thing where both teams kind of go, well, the game is really slow. We want it to be faster. So then they both come out and play a lot faster. And we'll see this mid go down now as Badonsky kind of getting the worst end of it again.
Yeah, it looks like Ronin is actually opting to play a little aggressive this mid. Both soldiers playing the enemy cafe. Mela does get taken down by Blank. Blank gets the health pack. Rando trying to finish off his teammate's damage, unable to do so. FROYO Black very injured, but they do have that crucial one-player advantage, and they have great point presses. Slemnish going to be 1v1ing Rando, losing that fight. The frag is traded off from Blank, and Yomps all by himself at mid. And FROYO Black continues to win these mids here.
And this is super dangerous here. Blank right on Nursey, gonna take the Uber away. Slemnish, oh no! Habib's gonna get piped out. He was gonna try to sticky jump away, and then I get either it didn't det or he thought better of it and then got piped.
Yeah, the classic soldier shooting at your feet when you have a sticky there ready to jump off of it. I think that's what happened. Habib kind of getting caught out there, and Badonsky finishing him off. But at the end of the day, his team has that Uber advantage. They are going to be taking Sizer, and he gets that first opening frag. Can they get the second one? So much damage, players for the scouts to shoot at. Slemnish finishes off one of the players. Sizer working on Nursey here. She's not healing anybody. A lot of point presence. Sizer on fire, finishes off Badonsky and finishes off the round. Oh my god, it's been back and forth. At this rate, FROYO Black is actually going to win the game.
Yeah, it's 3-2 here, so they've got 2 more rounds to square away to take us to map 3. And we'll see what they get going. That was a really good play there from Sizer. Takes the Uber, gets the frags, caps the point. What more do you want?
Yeah, it seems like no matter what Ronin does on these mids, they just keep losing them. This time they're opting to play their own side. Mela bombing early across mid. Shade dancing around finally goes down, but they're losing players in the process. Badonsky and Nursey, the only 2 players left alive, and they're surely going to go down. These mids are nuts. I cannot believe that Ronin is just not standing any chance against FROYO Black.
Well, if you're FROYO Black right now, particularly if you're Shade, this is, that's a sign of desperation, that last mid from Ronin. If you see the other team just mass up and throw 2 or 3 or 4 people at your medic right to start the mid, that means that they feel hopeless. They have given up on winning mid at that point. And that should make you feel really good about your chances of winning.
Yeah, but it does actually leave Ronin with a very slight Uber advantage, and they're going to be dry pushing here. They're cleaning up the Demo Man's damage, getting 2 frags in the process. No soldiers alive for FROYO Black. Sizer taking a lick of damage in choke. Mela getting traded off from Habib, but even Uber situation, and they're just dry pushing their way onto mid here, Ronin is.
Yeah, and this is tough to deal with no soldiers. Because those soldiers are going to respawn and rocket jump, so they won't have crit seals, so you can't get them into mid very effectively.
And the excuse me, Shade does get his Uber. We do have an even Uber situation. For some reason, Shade's Uber didn't appear on my screen until after he got it, so it was a little bit of a jump scare, spooky scary. But both medics do have even Ubers. The ball is in Ronin's court. They need to get around to tie this game back up. Mela going to be double jumping through choke. Going to get some damage onto Habib. Misses his final rocket. And leaving FROYO Black with a player advantage.
Yeah, he survived with all of 10 health, so Mela nearly gets that frag. And we'll see if FROYO Black decides to do anything. They may not, given how long it has been. They may just not mess with it. Blank looking around in some pretty strange places. Sizer gonna run in, but eats a rocket right in the dome.
Yeah, and no real counter sack coming from FROYO Black, so again, Mela's going to be free to go in if that's what they're choosing to do. We actually have seen Ronin just straight up push with even Ubers, and it has backfired in this series so far, so I imagine they're going to be shying away from doing that from now on, but you never know.
Well, we got Shrugger in position. He is running in. He is behind the team. Mela also was in. Shrugger's going to go down here, but he's going to manage to get... Rando, rather, is going to manage to get Tag. So we're pushing in with a one-player advantage for FROYO Black. They're trying to come in from Flowers, getting a lot of spam going that way, and it looks like they're just going to say, forget about it.
Yeah, they might end a round through choke, but time is not on their side as the spawners come up for Ronin. They are switching it up to Shrugger. There's a lot of nice little angles you can work here with Sniper, and let's see which one Shrugger takes. It looks like he's going to go through the cafe area, visiting Chili's for a quick second here, spotting out some sticky bombs as his team is clearing them out. He is going to be sniping from that area, and that is a good angle he can work with if his team gives him the room he needs, and it looks like his team is piling up through this area, giving him some space. Can he hit the shot?
Yeah, it's a pretty cheeky spot. He's also pretty vulnerable as far up as he is. Yeah, he's going to end up getting too excited and get taken down by Sticky Trap. Blank is going to feed in a little bit here just to see what's going on. But no go so far. Sizer tries to get through, still trying to get through, but not a lot happening. FROYO Black still in the lead, though, to try and get us to our third game here and avenge their loss.
Mela gets to pick on the tag there, so that should open things up a little bit. But as I say that, the super far across, I don't know if Habib saw that Sticky Trap or where Nursey was, but at the end of the day, Nursey drops Uber, and that is a disastrous play for Ronin. They're going to have to back up here and try to force the Uber out from Shade.
Yeah, and they've already got players coming in. Habib jumping in really deep. Going to manage to get the sniper of Shrugger right away. So, unfortunately, the Uber gets forced. Yomps is going to be responsible for doing that, as well as Rando. And
sneaking behind here, Marxist. What do you think he's going to do? He's running out of time. Everybody on FROYO Black just ditched to mid. Mela's just wobbling his way around behind as FROYO Black pushes on forward. Nice pipe on a tag from Badonsky. Mela still walking his way over onto Shade. Misses one rocket, misses two. He needs to hit a rocket. Shade is still full health. He finally goes down. Unfortunate situation for Ronin, but they're storming forward still.
Yeah, every time that this happens, FROYO Black will get distracted and have a lot of players deal with the distraction, and then Blank, oddly enough, will stay where he is, and so he'll just get swarmed by whatever's left of Ronin and die. And that's part of the problem that FROYO Black is having with holding these points down. But at the end of the day, they still hold mid, the initiative is on their side, and the Ubers are even still.
Yeah. And speaking of at the end of the day, we've been saying a lot at the end of the night. Actually, it's very late here. It's gonna be a super late one if FROYO Black can convert this map. They have 16 minutes left to retain their lead. Tag and Mela are gonna be dancing around. Shrugger denies Tag's last rocket jump onto Nursey, and it's gonna give a bit of a player advantage for Ronin as Mela and Yomps are clearing out this valley area. Last time we saw this happen, they forced the Uber situation, and that they do once again. Nursey's still milking hers as she pops hers. She has like a 4 or 5 second Uber length advantage, but FROYO Black is retreating out of mid. Tag trying to fend Yomps off. They only lose one player in the process, and they actually gain Uber advantage while losing mid.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate string of events where Blank basically, they popped him in because they saw a lot of people in there and knew that would be an easy Uber, and then it didn't come out. Blank's also going to get killed, but Nursey, under a lot of pressure, going to get taken out by Tag. Tag may still be able to escape, and yeah, he's going to collect the health pack. So it's falling apart for Ronin here. In the meantime, Slemnish just goes absolutely crazy.
Oh my god.
And gets 4 frags, I think.
Yeah. he just pulled a Sizer, just staying near his medic, taking all of the heals and taking down every single player from Ronin that was trying to take down Shade after Nursey went down. But wow, these scouts from FROYO Black have been doing an admirable job keeping their medic alive in situations like this, and that is why Shade has such a fat Uber advantage. It's at 80 right now, and they're trying to push it in through choke. Or Valley, it looks like. They went from Cafe all the way to Valley in a very quick series of events. Blank and Slemish clearing out this area. The Uber is forced, and Mela gets a nice kill onto Habib to open things up for his team just a bit. They are going to get a little bit of time on the point. As Shrugger is actually in deep. He does get taken down by both scouts from FROYO Black, and I don't know if Nursey wants to push in here. She is going to have her Uber in a second here.
Yeah, it surprises me that no one ran all the way, like tried to go for that long flank onto Nursey, because it didn't look like last was well covered very well. And obviously the left side was, but right looked like it was pretty open. And that could have ablated some of the pressure, but we'll see. They're coming out here as Rando, trying to negotiate this doorway, which is pretty much the hardest thing to do on this map, and is going to get jumped by Tag. A big exchange here.
Tag! I cannot believe how consistent he is with these bombs. He hits 2 great rockets on a Nursey, even though he was popped up by both scouts. He does force that Uber, so he is giving his team that leapfrog situation. They should be able to take second with this Uber advantage. They take down Mela early on. Shade still hasn't popped yet. Blank and Sizer leading the charge through Cafe. The Uber is popped. They're going to try to get at least one frag here. It looks like they might be able to get one onto Shrugger, who is stuck in behind. Ronin is going to be dry pushing, but like you said, pushing through that shutter is so difficult. Habib nets 2 frags with that sticky trap, and that might just be the round for FROYO Black.
Yeah, Mela's gonna try to do anything and just get completely shredded. So here's FROYO Black bringing it back. They want to play Granary, Truk. They don't want to go out just yet. That'll bring us 4-2. So one more round for FROYO, and they can take a little break and play some more TF2.
Yeah, get some more snacks and take another bathroom break. That's what they are looking forward to as they try to continue their dominance of the second half here. They haven't lost a mid since I remember, and Habib getting an early frag onto Badonsky is probably going to spell another mid win for FROYO Black. As I say that, Shade and Rando and Shrugger are just taking everyone out. Habib and Blank, the only 2 members left alive. Blank pressuring down Nursey, and actually, despite Shrugger and Rando going huge for Ronin, they still lose the mid.
Yeah, and Blank is playing this like a roamer. He survived mid, so he doesn't care about that cap, and he's gonna go see what's going on up here. But he sees a demo man that saw him straight away, so he's not gonna mess with it. And we will see this mid go down here for FROYO Black. They're in a pretty good spot. They're trying to build the Uber as fast as they can. Might see a push, might not see anything until the Uber comes up here. Since they are in the lead by 2 rounds, you have a lot of tactical flexibility.
Yeah, it looks like Ronin wants to dry push, knowing that Shade does not have his Uber just yet. They do get denied by some stickies from Habib, so they opt to not pursue that strategy. But like you said, what do you think? What do you think Shade is going to do here? Is he going to tell his team to push? I don't think that's what's going to happen as he jumps onto the roof of Cafe. They're looking to turtle this out here, Marxist.
Yep, Shade has pretty immaculate positioning at this time. I think it will be difficult to kill him with, say, a spy.
Yeah, I think unless Mela knows where Shade is, that's the only shot they have at forcing the Uber. He'd have to double jump through Choke or maybe Flowers to get near Shade, but Sizer, Shade's buddy this game, is probably not going to let any sort of damage be dealt to his medic. And yeah, they're forcing the situation onto Ronin here. It's very awkward to push into mid on even Ubers here as the defending team.
Blank apologizing in chat for his team seemingly parking the bus, and then they ask him if he wants to continue playing, and then they say he's useless anyways, does Sizer, when it's suggested that maybe Blank could log off.
The banter in chat is truly top tier right now. Blank has been complaining about TF2 this entire series, but despite that, they are still up to this game. Blank forcing the situation onto Nursey. Nursey milking away, trusting her team to save her. Habib defends himself from Shrugger, but Rando is trying to push through choke, but Habib surviving that situation and outputting so much damage. Sizer takes down Badonsky, and FROYO Black is looking to end this second map here.
Yeah, that was a lot of that was on Shade. I'm sort of speechless as to what I saw, but Habib should have been dead, but an arrow flew in, and he had a serendipitous moment there that saved his life. And this is probably going to be around now for FROYO Black because of it.
Shade is, or excuse me, Habib is hitting every single pipe here, and he takes down Rando. The Uber is popped out from Shade. They're only going to get one frag in the process. Mela is super hurt here. Slemnish pursuing that frag does go down. Sizer trades it off onto Badonsky. Sizer in deep with a fat stack of health. Surely is going to take down Shrugger, but at the end of the day, at the end of the night, we're going further into the night. Marxist tag caps that off, and wow. I never would have expected this outcome after that first map. FROYO Black beating Ronin in the second map, and we have 3 games.
Well, I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder here and say that my little prediction that FROYO Black played a lot more of this map during the regular season, it seems to have had some effect, because Ronin was basically hopeless on this middle. They did everything possible to demonstrate that they did not know what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't think they won a single mid that entire match. That is absurd, especially for how long it went. It went almost the whole way. But let's take a look at the stats here, and we can get some snacks. We can go take another bathroom break as we it's 1 in the morning here, Marks. This is the latest I've ever casted. But it's a treat. I'm so glad that FROYO Black is looking strong here in the playoffs. But Sizer, 50 frags. That is nutty. Going 2-1 KDR in that game, taking a lot of heals, but doing a lot with them.
And I'm pretty sure Sizer thought he was playing Viaduct there, and just kind of went ham.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story. Can FROYO Black pull this out? They will be pushing Ronin into the lower bracket if they win Granary here, and we will find out what happens next in a short minute here. But we're going to take another break. Get your snacks, but get your cameras ready. Get your cameras ready, because this could be a banger. So yeah, any final words before we take a quick break here, Marxist?
Nope. Hopefully we see you on the other side. I am excited. I get to watch my second favorite map, Granary.
We will continue to question why Marxist thinks that map is a good map as we take a break here. Hello. We are back. I hope you guys are nice and situated and comfortable. We have one more map, the final tiebreaker map, Granary, Marxist's second favorite map here, to decide who continues on in the upper bracket and who goes to that dangerous lower bracket division in this playoffs here. What are your first thoughts coming into this final map, Marxist?
Well, this is fitting because we've had a lot of classics played out here, and we've also had some pretty good games already that you and I have cast together just in the short while since I've made my return. So this should be pretty exciting, although there is a little bit of talk about Comcast internet, which is worrisome.
By, Nursey. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, the in-game chant is worrisome for... Is it Nursey who's having rough troubles?
There's a few players that have got 3. We've got 4 players with yellow ping, because I don't have numbers on this HUD just yet.
I think yellow means it's incredibly bad, because I'm pretty sure people were reporting, at least when they first added that to the game, that if you had like 100 ping, it still was green. So yellow is pretty bad, unless they changed it in a recent update.
Yeah, the general rule of thumb, if you're out there wondering, anything over 80 ping is usually considered pretty bad for competitive TF2, unless you cross over and get into like the 160 ping range, and then you become power. And it actually helps you, as long as you're not playing soldier or demo or medic.
Yeah, for those who don't know who Paua is, he's a Brazilian player who played a couple seasons of ESEA and dominated despite having a very high ping. People found it very annoying to play against him because of how high his ping is. It felt like he was killing you through walls because of how late the server was interpolating his damage. We should probably get Bloodsire to explain interp and such, but yeah. That is very interesting, but I don't know if these guys can channel their inner power, as they probably don't have that fat and large ping experience.
Plus, they're all 3 of them are projectile classes, so that's no bueno. But if you do want to learn more about interp direct from the source, you can probably find it on teamfortress.tv.
Yeah.
Give a quick little plug for the website that we all refer to.
Yeah, and for those that have tuned in mid-series, it's probably best that we reiterate what is actually happening. This is the first round of playoffs for ESEA Season 22 Invite, the top players in North America going head-to-head for that ESEA prize and glory of being the best team in North America. So this is the beginning of a long series of games we have here, and whoever loses this match here between RONIN and FROYO Black will go to the lower bracket and face elimination against the team that loses between the team that loses between FROYO Tech and EVL Gaming.
Yep, and we'll see what goes here. You'd rather go to the winner's bracket straight away. Particularly because EVL's been pretty cagey this season, and I imagine they're putting in quite a lot of work right now. So even if they do lose to FROYO, which I would say is expected by pretty much most of the community, then they could be a challenge to either of these teams down there if they really put it together. And you don't want to have to deal with a team that's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, and both of these teams we actually have seen slip up against not top teams, such not considered top teams like EVL and Bird Noises. FROYO Black actually lost to EVL on Granary, the last regular season game for both those teams, and RONIN lost against Bird Noises earlier on in the season. So it's definitely possible for the upset. Whoever loses this game is definitely going to be favored in the lower bracket, depending if EVL makes it there, or ends up there, rather. You don't really make it to the lower bracket, you kind of lose there. But yeah, it's definitely possible, and it's not a situation you want to be in. And beyond that, even if they win their way through the lower bracket and make it to the finals, they still face the 2 best of 3s that they have to win in the finals. So being in the lower bracket is not good. You're pretty much as good as out of this. Your season's pretty much done for if you're in that spot. So neither team wants to be there by any means.
Yeah, it's a huge hill to climb come the final for whichever team ends up there. But I see Tag has prepared his body as well as several other players in the server. So we should be getting ready to go again. I'll note also, while we're here kind of in a dead period, if you're liking what you see here, I think there's going to be another best of 3 coming your way on Thursday,
yes.
Which is now tomorrow on the East Coast.
Yes. And maybe that game will go as late. These best of 3s starting so late is causing it to go into the night and beyond that into the morning. So Maybe in the future these will get scheduled a little bit earlier, but it's up to the teams to decide that, not us, unfortunately. But Marxist, we were talking while we were getting our snacks and our bathroom breaks, and you're a night owl, and so am I. We're very much awake and pumped for this last map here.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely super alive at this point. It's partly I worked third shift for quite some time, and so my brain stopped working correctly, which some people might say is the reason I love this map so much as well. But I don't get tired at night anymore, and staying up and watching video games is as good a use for my time as any.
Yeah, and speaking of Granary and why I'm kind of like cackling and kind of mocking you a little bit, I don't mean to be mean. I'm just being a little buster, you know. This map tends to be a little slow, and not many people enjoy watching it. I think a fair amount of people enjoy playing it because it has a unique play style. It's a very soldier-dominant map, whereas pretty much every other map is kind of dominated by scouts. So it brings that unique perspective. But as far as watching it, the chokes are very, very small, which allows for stalemate situations to be very much elongated compared to a lot of other maps. But anything to add on to that for Granary, Marxist? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, the second and mid transition is pretty tough. Also, now this is the only map in the rotation with a yard feature where you kind of have a fourth point, sort of, that sticks out there. And you've got to go in through mid, get to yard, and that's its own special little fight. And then you get to push the next point after that before you can get to last. So it was different back in the day when we played warm front / cold front, because that had a similar feature to it, a yard that you would have to use your Uber to get into yard, and then you had to stop and do it again. And so it was a little more normal then, but people have mostly forgotten that by now. And so this is the only map really with that feature. And it leads things to get kind of slow. And Shrugger also notes that it's his grandmother's birthday in 20 minutes. So congratulations to Shrugger's grandma.
Yeah, that is good news for Shrugger. His grandma gets another year older, as Shrugger is potentially going to be fragging hard. But this is the final map of this best of 3. Whoever wins this goes to the upper bracket. Loser goes to the lower bracket and faces elimination for the first time this season. This is the most important match of the season for both of these teams. How is it going to pan out here, Marxist?
Well, if you're a FROYO Black fan, which I kind of am, we're going to hope that their mid dominance continues on this map. And on Granary, winning mid is a huge deal. It's huge, because you might be able to just roll it to last. That's a great feature of this map.
Yeah, this map is very swingy. The mids can change the tide. Mela in behind, already hitting a rocket onto 4 players and still in behind with a large amount of damage, health, as the rest of his team pushes on forward. Rando finishing off Shade, who is arrowing his pocket, and this is looking disastrous for FROYO Black. Nursey did actually go down, so they are probably not going to get rolled into last, but they are very much losing this mid.
Yeah, Habib is pretty much the saving grace of that mid for FROYO Black. He managed to get 2 pipe frags and then another sticky frag at one point there, I think, if I remember correctly. And we'll see a second hold here. So this is where yard comes into play. We might see Ronin come up into yard. We've already got Rando hiding beside the garden hose. He's going to see Habib. Nobody sees him yet. Right onto Shade. And luckily, only going to end up losing Slemnish there.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Blank isn't typing anything after that. That was unfortunate for him. One of the players actually body blocked one of his rockets, which would have killed Shade. And Shade survives. And 2 of his players are actually dead, so they're going to have to give up the second point. Shrugger leading the charge, getting a kill onto Tag. And they're still at a 2-player advantage. Tag getting that unfortunate 20-second respawn. Ronin edges out their Uber advantage, making it 20%. They are pushing into last. Melo just wobbling himself onto the point, getting some time off. No pop just yet. They are getting frags before the Uber. Shade goes down before he can get his, and this is disastrous for FROYO Black. This is not how they want this to end up, but Habib is somehow managing to defend this point, hitting every pipe that he shoots, along with a sticky, taunting it off at the end, and not actually spamming any sort of binds, just pumped about that series of events. I cannot believe he was able to defend that almost single-handedly.
Habib saved the day. It was looking dire there. And he decided that he was going to take matters into his own hands and put the team on the back of his pipes. And we might see a mid-push here. Sizer already coming in, and also a soldier jumping up to the top there. I think that's blank, judging by the party hat. And Tag going to go down, though, so that's probably going to call this off.
Slemnish is in deep, though. He's definitely going to go down. He's getting the health pack. He's trying to escape through choke. And he gets arrowed by Shade, so he does live against all odds. But his scout buddy Sizer is actually at the spawn, 1v1ing Shrugger, and Rando comes in to help. Sizer hits a nice meat shot before he goes down, almost taking down Rando. But while that transpired, Mercy is getting Uber, and it's evening up. Mela jumping through Garage, clearing off some of the stickies, but Rando gets killed by the other two. And Ubers are going to be exchanged in this yard area. FROYO Black charging forward, forcing the situation. So much damage on this Ronin team. Shade milking away, not needing to pop his Uber at all. Slemnish running through Garage. The rest of his team is waiting to regroup with them. As they do, it looks like they're opting to go through choke here, Marxist.
Yeah, Habib actually survives that with 1 hit point as the Uber rotated over, and he was trying to hold the left side virtually by himself. But still, nothing happening to Shade. They're going to try to feed in there, but Shrugger, no go there. Slemnish going to die in choke, but it doesn't matter. Shade still with 100% Uber, so that gives you a ton of options. It's 5v5 here. Orzo's dream, if you're an old bee like me.
Habib is top damaging and top fragging the server for sure at this point in the game, just hitting all of his stickies and pipes. Shade and friends cleanly get into this left yard area. They still have a little bit of an Uber advantage, but they do take yard control, which is very significant on this map.
Yeah, and we'll see there are multiple different... They did get yard pretty simply here, and there are a lot of ways to approach this, but actually they're coming out, and they're going to take out a lot of players there. Demo and Jeromer straight away. Sizer also going to go out there, and Shade just has to uselessly pop the Uber off. Probably going to die and choke. Yeah, there they go. So that is a whippity wipe, losing only Shrugger.
Yeah, a very proactive play from Ronin, just pushing out through Z and the banana area, shutter door. Catching, I think they caught FROYO Black completely off guard. They were not ready for that at all. Shay was forced to pop a very awkward Uber and try to escape, but Ronin just reigns supreme there, and they are going to continue their Uber advantage, trying to get this yard. Tag is postured up in drop down, trying to force the pop from Nursey, but it looks like they're kind of backing off here, is Ronin.
Well, so we got Sizer Sniper in forward spawn. We got Tag. I think he's coming back down to a more normal position. Also, we had a scout hiding, but the Uber is going to go straight through. Sniper doesn't really do much there, but he's going to get Shrugger. So, I mean, that's something. And Shade's still building Uber here, so that's part of that yard transition. We'll see they're going to push out into right yard and try to wrap around behind. And we're going to meet these two teams at middle.
And they get an early pick onto Badonsky. They are wrapping Nursey and Rando. Nursey all by herself in choke. Yomps getting a nice shot onto Shade, not taking him down. Shrugger, the only player left alive for Ronin. I don't even know where he is.
He's coming off the top balcony now at mid while he's actually going to wait. Icy's just going to wait it out. It surprises me that he's doing that, because his team, if he'd have blocked the point even a little bit, his team could have got a lot of forward spawns. But instead he chose to wait, and the team did not get said forward spawns. So there's virtually no hope of holding this yard area for his crew, because they all would have come out of forward spawn and would have been right here.
Yeah, and Tag gets another opening pick, gets traded off. Actually, Blank gets traded off. But the positioning for FROYO Black is so strong here. They're edging out the second point, and they have a 50% Uber advantage to take into last.
Yep, and you would like to see him just pick a door here and go. It looks like they're going to go left, so here we go, feeding in. No, nothing on the point right now. I don't know why they're not standing on the point. They just popped the Uber. Still not standing on that point. Slemnish is going down as well. And now finally some pressure, but we've got positioning for Ronin now on that pipe. And Shade's going to have to hightail it out of there. And might end up going down. Yeah, definitely no Shade. So a
Blank going in for the
there.
miracle play onto Nursey, getting spotted out and goes down as well. But like you said, they pressured Ronin into their spawn and just didn't get any cap time. And they're going to get punished severely for that as Ronin is rolling on through. Full Uber advantage, already capping off mid. No contention from FROYO Black, and they're probably going to have to give up yard control as well.
And you've got to try to get the Uber out of them over yard here instead of letting it put you on last.
And they don't. The tables have turned here. Ronin pushing in with Uber advantage into the second point. Tag forcing out the Uber of Nursey, going down in the process. They're charging forward, trying to take down Shade. Shade not taking any damage. Sizer and Slemnish have been playing so close to their medic so far this second half of the series here, and Shade's been quite safe. It looks like Ronin's trying to dry push. Badonsky taking a lot of damage. Habib and Badonsky both go down. FROYO Black pushing in with their Uber. Shade does not have his just yet. Mela drops Shade before he can get the Uber, and that might be the round for Ronin. Here comes Rando. Actually, Blank and Tag sink some rockets onto the point, taking down the players. Slemnish and Nursey trade frags. I've never seen that happen before. The projectile from the arrow actually was in midair as Nursey was taken down.
Yeah, we had two pretty great... Shade dies at 99%, and then Nursey manages to kill from the grave.
But, as the dust settles, we gotta stop saying at the end of the day, after the dust settles, FROYO Black comes out on top in that situation, and they have a 20% Uber advantage as well as yard control. But it's gonna be tough to push into mid, even with just a 20% Uber advantage. No player advantage, nothing.
Yeah, and also Ronin has scouted that FROYO Black likes to push through Choke, because all 8 stickies are right above Choke's door. So they're gonna have to try to push this garage, and this is a lot harder to do. And it looks like they may just say forget about it and leave it in Ronin's court.
Yeah, they are backing up as they are relinquishing that garage area. Blank almost going down, getting arrowed up by his medic. Shrugger actually going down in the garage, and that might trigger a counter-sack or a push. It looks like Sizer's trying to go in first. Blank charging in behind him, getting popped on. They actually do take down Rando. That is a 2-player advantage for FROYO Black. They lose Sizer. Blank hitting some nice rockets onto Badonsky, forcing the Uber out from Nursey. Can Slemnish get out of here and choke? He did survive the last time here. He is going to get arrowed by his medic, and we do have a reset. Is either team going to dry push here? It looks like Ronin wants to. Badonsky might get caught out and choke here. The rest of his team is right next to him. Tag takes down the scout right in front of him, and Badonsky does go down. Mela all by himself in choke. Tag hitting every single rocket there, just constantly reloading and hitting rockets onto the players in a choke. And Sizer charging forward, getting meat shot by Rando, stopping any sort of aggression from FROYO Black.
Yeah, we do have a special match here with Blank and Rando in the server, since both of them are quite good with the shotgun, especially in an era where a lot of people just don't bother with it.
Oh man, a big Uber coming from FROYO Black, catching a couple players out in choke, getting 2 frags, but there's 2 players in behind, both scouts from Ronin. One's taken down by Tag. Tag does get taken down by Yamps. It's going to be a 1v1. Yamps and Sizer. Sizer wins that fight. Meanwhile, at mid, Badonsky's getting a frag onto Blank, and somehow Nursey was able to get her Uber and defend the middle point. Shade still retaining that Uber advantage.
And we're going to see spawn up come now for FROYO Black. And a push coming through directly through the right side after the garage. Few isolated players, but they're going to be able to back up into the garage, into second point. And probably be okay here. Badonsky survives with 16 health. A lot of close calls in this whole series for either team. And we'll see if Shade decides to push out. Usually the way they do that is they're going to go through Z here.
And here they come. Oh, Rando! It just hits two nice rockets on to the medic. Shade drops. And that should be the second point, if not the round for Ronin. Tag actually going in behind, trying to get a drop of his own. Nursey completely unexpected, but Tag in a really precarious position. You might be able to get Badonsky here, wobbling his way in behind, gets the scout, and Badonsky actually stumping the cap for Ronin, and that's some crucial picks from both teams' soldiers here as the Uber is forced onto the roamer of Ronin. Tag making a play after Ronin dropping. Shade.
Yep. Yeah, a very big turn of events there for Tag. That was very, very good to get back in like that. He got 2 frags out of it, and it completely stalled everything.
Man, Mela doing exactly what Rando did, but getting a little bit more, taking down the medic and pocket from FROYO Black. Slemnish going through drop down, pulling a tag here, might be able to get Badonsky. He does. Can he get Nursey? Hits a pot shot onto her. She's safe. Tag coming in through Z. He gets taken down. And these FROYO Black players are dropping like flies. Even if Sizer takes down Nursey here, it might not even be enough. He fails to do so as they come in. Blank finally takes down Nursey, but it is too little, too late. Ronin getting on the board here halfway through the first half here.
Yeah, the FROYO Black just really threw everything they had at Nursey there. I have no idea why, and that's going to end up with Ronin leading this game 1-0 with 15 minutes left, so we got plenty of time yet.
Yeah, oh, Habib taking a lick from Badonsky, forcing him to drop down. Badonsky hitting one of the scouts, hitting the medic, hitting the pocket. He's not missing a sticky here. Can his team capitalize off the damage?
Well, so far, we're still just staying in our passive positions, but we do have a soldier in Mela a little bit far behind here, and finally, Slemnish is going to go down, it looks like. And Tag as well, but trading out Badonsky and Rando, but FROYO Black getting wiped out. And,
I think Yamson Shrugger pretty much got every frag that entire mid. That was nutty. But yeah.
By design.
And like you said, this mid is so swingy. FROYO Black not dipping out of mid early enough and losing everybody in the process. Generally, if you don't leave mid, you are going to get mulched if the other team has that health and player advantage, and that's exactly what happened.
And we'll see a slight pause here, and then probably the Uber. We do have Slemnish on the engineer, building behind the concrete on the left, and with the Sizer Heavy on the pipe, the natural habitat of the Heavy.
But Ronin's looking like they want to go upper here, and last time I casted with you, you hated pushing upper. You hate when teams push upper. Why is that? And they're going to do it.
Because exactly, their Uber got popped before it did anything. This sentry gun isn't going to die forever, and it just isn't going to die at all. He's going to hit it, and this is a complete bust. So
yes.
Chalk up another one for the hopes and dreams of everyone who tries to push out that top door.
Yeah, they netted negative amounts of frags with that Uber. Shade getting his own. Mela actually in behind. No one is suspicious of his positioning, but they are actually wandering away from Mela's positioning. Is Mela actually going to opt for a back cap with the rest of his team selling out to defend mid? You will see. Looks like that's going to happen. Yeah, he's just standing there. Tag, actually, finally, he does one last look back and spots out Mela. So, very awkward for Ronin. They do force the Uber out. Yams is still dancing around. Slemnish does take him down. And Ronin has pretty good positioning as Mela is on the backside still fighting Tag and Blank.
The Uber there for FROYO Black was very confused. Like, they they got forced, and then their whole team just like split around going every which way, and that results in failure.
Rando types, what the fuck is going on? And that was very confusing. Mela actually pulling 2 players back from FROYO Black, but I think that's probably the reason why Ronin is in a better position than they were before that fight transpired.
Yeah, somehow they managed to pull it out, and they're still okay. We're still holding yard as FROYO Black. They're building Uber, and we're basically back to this stalemate situation. So I do want to remind, we are only at 1-0 so far. So another slow first half for these two teams, although tons of pushing occurring.
Yeah, they actually Uber onto Badonsky, jumps through choke, and Tag destroys Badonsky. As soon as the Uber went away from Badonsky, Tag popped him up and shot him out of the air. The counter Uber from Shade. Habib is actually hitting his pipes, takes down Rando. Shrugger goes down as well. Nursey, the only person left alive. Badonsky spawning up after getting mulched.
We're actually, with these Habib Ubers, we're channeling it back to like 2 years ago in Europe. The norm was to just Uber your demo, and Habib is really coming through for him on these. And we'll see if they decide to move anywhere. Ronin's trying to push in, but they're trapped in choke right now. And not a lot of health. Sizer is going to go down, but Yamps is going to die. Soldier re-bombing here and going to pull back out. Badonsky's going to die to Habib. And just playing on the middle of the point is FROYO Black, and it's working out great. Well, not so much anymore.
Ronin's still getting... Habib is on a 3K here, and he might get another one. He's getting the Uber. He needs to kill Shade to make this worthwhile. If he, he needs to kill Nursey to make this worthwhile. If Nursey survives, this could be disastrous. Nursey does get her Uber. FROYO Black might be able to get out through yard, but unfortunate from Habib, getting a 3K and unable to actually get more frags while invulnerable.
Yeah, and there's just a repush coming straight back in. Habib's going to get wiped out by Shrugger, but the FROYO Black is trying to use that as cover, and it's working. They're going to manage to get Rando and Yomps. Badonsky's going to take out Sizer, but no more Badonsky after that. And a nice soldier frag for Tag. And it's only Nursey here, and this is going to be a second cap for FROYO Black.
Yeah, and they have a 50% Uber advantage. No sentry gun up at all for Ronin. They won't have any time. They do have a sniper. Can he hit the shot? Yamps is unable to. The Uber is pushed. They do finally get some cap time with their Uber. Tag pulling both scouts onto the point, doing a little bit of damage to both of them. A lot of cap time for Sizer to work with. The only scout left alive for FROYO Black. He needs to win the 1v1 versus Shrugger. He does not, and it looks like FROYO Black is going to get pushed all the way back. Shade might not be able to survive here with Yamps on hot pursuit.
Well, Yamps only has a few hit points, but unfortunately, we don't use needle guns anymore. And the arrow does not connect, so that is a loss for Shade. Probably going to be really difficult to hold middle. So we should see some sort of array of traps and shenanigans here at mid from FROYO Black to try to preserve this position. Or maybe not. It looks like they're just opting to do nothing.
Yeah, they're gonna force Ronin to try to push through garage or choke, the only real options that they have after capping mid. They do have Uber advantage, but as we've seen so far this game, it's all about the post Uber. It's all about how well you can kite the Uber, and so far this game, both teams have done a good job kiting the enemy team's Ubers.
And we've seen a lot of demo-reliant or scout-reliant Ubers as opposed to the traditional pocket Uber.
That is true, and Ronin is going into yard, taking a little bit of damage, but not expending their Uber. They are losing the advantage as time ticks on. They're trying to edge out the point. In fact, they just popped right in, but Donsky and Shrugger leading the charge. Habib probably gonna have to go down here. Shrugger actually missing a couple shots as Shade tanks his demo man, and everybody on Ronin is getting wiped out.
And they managed to get in and stop this point from being capped. And this is a, we saw some swings earlier, but this is going to be a hard swing. This is going to end up with Ronin on their last, potentially. And we'll see how far they decide to go with it, or if FROYO Black can fall on their own sword at some point and cause that to stop.
Oh no, Shade panics and pops his Uber after only taking one rocket from Rando. So Rando forcing the Uber from FROYO Black. It looks like they're only going to get Rando with that Uber. Sizer going deep in Lunchbox all the way up top. He meets Mela and gets taken down by Mela. And that's going to end that sort of aggression from FROYO Black. Ronin with their Uber pushing this yard area, leading with Shrugger. Shrugger getting forced on the and actually killed by a roller as Nursey switches the Uber off to her other scout. And these Ubers have been a little unfortunate for both teams here this second round.
And this sets up a leapfrog over the middle point now, as Shade has got Uber, and it's actually really close as well, so we should see a pretty quick push out of some form or another. We'll see what door. It looks like they're going to go choke. The 8 stickies are not there this time. They get in and start to go.
Yeah, Sizer's in deep all the way on the left side, paired with his medic demo and pocket. Yam's taking the high ground, pressuring Habib. Shade popping the Uber to save his demo's life. Shrugger in deep as well, finally going down. Both Ronin scouts do die in the process. Rando at mid. Oh my god, everybody on FROYO Black is in behind. This might bite them in the butt here or prove to be amazing. Rando with a sliver of health gets a frag onto the demo, but it looks like the rat play might work out. Mela hits 2 great directs onto Sizer and retreats. But FROYO Black, that aggression, they had no time on mid. They just decided to wrap Ronin.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can manage to cap this point out. Blank's shotgun is going to get quite a lot of use here, and actually he doesn't pull it out and just dies to a scout. But Shade is going to survive. Importantly there, Blank did get in and kill Nursey. He was the one that stayed at mid, and Nursey just got pushed in through choke, and eventually Blank got that med pick, so we're right back where we started.
Tag just hitting some nice rockets, just walking his way on the battlements, shooting down at the combo, doing a lot of damage, getting a kill onto the pocket in the process, and that's going to win his team mid again if they decide to cap it off. Rando's going to get the forward spawn, and Ubers are probably going to even up unless FROYO Black goes right now.
Yeah, it surprises me that they didn't decide to just go straight off, but maybe when those kills happen, those sort of the kills that Blank got on Nursey, it's hard to tell where your Uber is anymore, because Shade was busy trying to dodge and fighting, and so it's hard to remember. So I'll give him that. That's cut him a break. But we'll see. Slemnish has now gone down, so that should bait out some kind of a push. They are trying to come in through choke, but that's not gonna happen right now. Way too much spam coming down.
Yeah, there is 5 minutes left on this first half. Ronin is up 1-0. The winner of this game goes to the upper bracket. The loser to the loser bracket. So this is the most important match of the season for both these teams, and most important map as well. This is the tiebreaker, and everybody on FROYO Black is looking to push through this garage area. At least they're postured up accordingly.
Yeah, they can get in here and go left if they can get through this door. Unfortunately, Sizer is not going to be able to just blow straight through. His scout partner, however, has, and Slemnish is all the way behind, and is going to start a back cap.
Yeah, and that's going to force 3 players back to the point. Actually, 4. He's going to be taking a 1v1 against Shrugger. He wins it. He has another 1v1 from Mela. No ammo loaded, no way he's going to win that fight. Meanwhile, in choke, Tag again forcing the Uber from Nursey.
It's a solid play from Tag there. With so many players not present around Nursey, having dealt with the back cap, you can get in for free. So that was really solid timing there from the Roamer class, and we've got a push coming in left. And since it's kind of players down situation, a classic left push is just what the doctor ordered, and here comes the Uber.
Yeah, and a lot of pressure onto Badonsky. They're opting to kill the demo man instead of the medic. Mela and Shrugger in behind in Lunchbox. They might get trapped out here, but Mela is defending valiantly, getting a frag of his own. He does go down as well as Shrugger, and the point is not capped off yet for FROYO.
Yeah, they were just trying to get frags there. I guess they rotated from side to side. Now they can go in right now. No Badonsky. You're pretty much not going to get a better opportunity at this. No off classes as well. Lots of damage coming down on the right side. Yamps is already down, but the Uber comes out. So we're going to see how many players are going to die to this. So Habib and Tag are both going to go down. But that may give Blank an opportunity to hold this at least a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunate for Blank, he was looking in the upper battlements area, and as soon as he looked away, Mela walked on through and got some easy rockets to take him down, and that's going to win Ronin that second point. Shade is about to get his Uber. If Nursey gets caught out here, this might be disastrous, but Rando is just going in. Nursey and Rando so aggressive, they're getting evaporated here. Nursey goes down as well. Yamps and Mela, the last remaining players on Ronin, they're going to have to get out or make a play. It looks like Mela's trying to make a play. Might be able to get Slemnish. Slemnish hits a nice meat shot and takes him down.
Yeah, and we have pretty bad spawn times here too, so 4 players are going to come instantly alive, but Habib unfortunately meets a scout, the nemesis of the demo class, and they're trying to cap it out, but the whole team of Ronin dives on the point and stops it.
It truly is unfortunate. It looks like Tag is the first person to get onto the point rather than the FROYO Black Scouts. I think the Scouts are not really focusing on the point as much as they should, whereas Tag probably should be taking the high ground and outputting the damage so the Scouts can cap the point. Wouldn't you say, Marxist? It's curious that the Scouts are just not getting on the point early on in these last pushes for FROYO Black.
Well, in that situation, it's just every man for himself, basically, because you're just trying to get into that last as fast as you can before anybody spawns up. But I would say in that situation, your soldiers want to try to get to the spawn doors because you have 4 people that are about to walk through a spawn door and you can lock them out. We also see a push coming in right now on the right side on Choke, pretty well stuffed by Blank and company for quite some time. Buys a lot of Uber percentage for Shade.
Yeah, there's a minute left in this game, minute 15 to be exact. This could be a terrible situation for FROYO Black, getting pushed from their last to their last with time running out. A lot of time on the point. One of the scouts getting some time onto that. Shade popping his Uber, and it looks like they should be able to defend this. The post-Uber fight is happening right now. Badonsky sticking off the point, going down. Mela and Nursey, the last 2 players alive, and that is surely going to be halftime unless somehow, some way, Ronin can spawn up and roll on through, but I don't think that's going to happen, Marxist.
We will see what happens. It's still, you don't want to completely let your foot off the gas. They are running hard, is FROYO Black. So maybe they're going to leave 1 scout and just keep going. No, I guess they're going to stack it. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
But I don't think they do not have the time now, do they?
Fortunately, a bit of a weird situation for FROYO Black. Yeah, this is just a DM war here. There's only 15 seconds left in the half. It's all about stat padding. Habib gets 2 kills in the process, but that's about it. Shay gets a nice Uber for his stats, but he's also going to get a death as well, unless his Uber lasts long enough for halftime. Can his Uber last enough for halftime? Shade not getting the death stat and also getting the Uber stat, so huge play coming from Shade. But like I was saying, Marxist, FROYO Black kind of beefing their last push and managing to somehow hold on to that round as well, staying down 1 round instead of 2.
Yeah, FROYO Black is playing just fine, really, in this game. They haven't had too many issues overall that I would seek to change. They've had some rough middles, but I mean, Granary, you're going to end up in some coin flippy situations at mid. But the big problem they've had is some of the easier last caps they should have gone for, they have botched. And so they got to work that out. And I do see they are gelling somewhat better than they were on that Snakewater game for sure. So we are seeing the evolution of FROYO Black here on Granary.
This is a very interesting team stat line that I'm looking at here, Marxist. We have exactly the same amount of frags and deaths for each team, and both teams have 39,800 damage. Almost exactly the same. FROYO Black with a little bit more damage, but you cannot ask for a closer match here, and the stats are reflecting that as well.
It has been very tight so far, and we'll see, again, like I said at the start of the Sunshine game, we're probably going to see a much quicker second half here, since it's only 1-0. But even still, one team has to get 4 rounds to secure their position in the playoffs here into the upper bracket, and also they guarantee themselves 3rd place.
Yeah, I wonder if the players are experiencing some fatigue. I know my voice is breaking up a little bit, but things can change so quickly on this map here, Marxist. If one team gets rolled, it could be a round for said team. Nursey's still not able to get into mid here as she's getting locked out by some sticky bombs from Habib. Rando getting the first kill, and it looks like he might get another one onto Shade. He does. He's still alive. He reloads a rocket and gets a 3rd onto Habib. Oh my gosh, this could be disastrous for FROYO Black if they cannot manage to kill Nursey. It looks like Nursey is going to survive. And as I just said, things can change so quickly. Ronin looking to pull ahead in this match.
Yeah, great shotgun frag there from Rando, and a tough situation now for FROYO Black, because you have a Nursey with full Uber. They can pick a door and push in and have a pretty solid chance of winning. Sizer is on the Builder Man, and Slemnish has picked Team Heavy, is living on the pipe right now. So we'll see. Maybe they'll get lucky and Ronin will decide to push from up top again. It looks like they're going to do it.
They have some rockets and some stickies to deal with. They're going to take a lot of damage before their Uber is popped. And they're just getting juggled here and launched. Nursey completely disconnected from her team. Bodonsky finally taking down the sentry gun. But, oh man, Ronin is still somehow managing to convert frags. But Slemnish on the Putis man, doing a lot of damage from a very safe distance. Mela trying to duck out here as it looks like he's getting chased by a scout. He is going to be getting out, and somehow Nursey getting launched into the spawn of FROYO Black, surviving while Shade going down. So I guess that's the silver lining for Ronin. Despite their push being a little sloppy, they did take down Shade.
Yeah, it was a yucky push, but they got a consolation prize out of it. And now we see Tag on Spy trying to do stuff, already all the way behind, sneaking around in yard. And we'll see if anybody notices anything untoward.
Can he do the stuff you speak of? It looks like he's lining up a backstab onto Mela. He's had Mela's number so far this series. He is getting in decent position. He's beelining right onto Nursey. He clicks on her back, and that's going to drop the Uber from Ronin's medic. They do lose Tag, and Bodonsky actually goes down as well. Mela is going to trickle down, and Yams is pressuring the last point, but Habib and Slemnish smartly defend that as they gradually push onto the second point. Tag making the spy play himself for his team.
Tag, not much success with the spy plays all the way back ages ago on Snakewater, but he finally gets it. Must not have had any registration problems there. And we should see a pretty quick mid-cap here for FROYO Black. They also have Uber. It doesn't look like anything bad is going to happen to that Uber right now. And we should see it come in. They should be able to buy a yard with it, hopefully. And we'll keep this train rolling.
Yeah, they're going through choke. No stickies to deal with here. They have a couple pipes soaring across the yard, but none of them are connecting. Shade is in a safe position as they look to take the second point of Ronin. Where are they going to opt to go here, Marx? It looks like Shade's dancing back and forth, delivering the heals to all of his teammates.
You got to be really careful here because you've let this Uber even up. And so they're going to just try and rotate around, I think, to try and get a frag. And Tag is going to go down there. He finds a lot of soldiers. Blank is going to die as well.
Yeah, Mela trading with Blank and then taking down Tag before that. And that's going to trigger the push from Rando, at least yard, for, Rando and Ronin.
Yeah, I would like to see FROYO Black play this more aggressively. They have the spawn advantage here. They can lock this Uber away and not have to deal with it.
Yeah, Rando pressuring so many players into choke, probably going to force the Uber from Shade. He does go down, but not without forcing the Uber. Nursey popping hers much later. It's going to be a lot longer of an Uber for Ronin. Tag in behind, trying to get the post Uber frag onto Nursey, unable to do so. And there is a scout behind. Slemnish probably will be able to cap this off, as Ronin does not have any time on mid. He's going to be 1v1ing Mela. Can he cap it off? Mela does successfully defend the point. Mela going huge in this life.
Yeah, that was essential, because if he'd killed Mela there, that probably would have been a round. That's another thing that Granary is well known for, is once the back cap train starts, it's really difficult to stop it.
Yeah, not only that back cap is going to push Ronin back, they're not even going to be able to get mid because of it, and FROYO Black is going to retain mid, but they're getting a little aggressive. Nursey has her Uber. They might be able to get caught out here in Garage if Nursey decides to push forward with her team.
Yeah,
So
they're banking on Nursey not knowing about the Uber situation or thinking it's equal. And so they are back here. We might see an even Uber exchange here, or they're just going to cede yard. Yomps is very hurt, and Blank is actually going to be the one that goes down to Rando. Pocket V, pocket violence.
And Rando goes in, gets taken down by Tag, but frees up the right yard area for his team. Mela and Nursey are backing off as Shrugger goes down all by himself in the left yard. FROYO Black is trying to work their way onto the point. Sizer charging forward, getting destroyed by Mela and Yomps. And it's going to stalemate up here again. FROYO Black still not on the board this game, despite looking very strong.
Yeah, Sizer kind of face-checked the entire team of Ronin there. And actually have some pressure now as well. Shade getting forced, and a lot of damage coming out on Rando and Mela, but not able to get any more kills other than just Mela. And that puts Nursey back in the driver's seat, but a lot of FROYO Black lurking behind in
Tag
second.
and Slemnish, yeah, here they are, getting that X3 on the point. Tag pre-shotting that shutter door, doing a little bit of damage onto Shrugger. They got a lot of cap time. Slemnish does go down. Sizer charges forward and takes down Badonsky. He might be able to escape with his life, but it's not the case. Rando hits two great rockets on to Sizer as the injured Ronin players charge forward. Shrugger locking out the garage area, and even though Tag and Slemnish made a heads-up play, they do get punished for it, both going down.
Yeah, unfortunately they didn't get back in there late enough. The whole rest of Ronin was too close for the back cap to work. It delayed it a little bit, so we get to hold this yard with Uber. But player going in deep here, I didn't catch which one that is. That's Mela, headed up into Lunchbox now, all the way behind. Roamer v. Roamer violence. And who's going to end it? Tag will get the better of the Roamer special.
Yeah, Mela doing more damage than Tag, but Tag using the health pack to his advantage, taking Mela down. And no counter sack, immediate counter sack from FROYO Black after that initial pick. So I think it's just going to stalemate up here, and I think FROYO Black is giving the ball back to Ronin, letting them make the initiation here in this stalemate.
And they're trying to just spam it up right now, so we'll see. But this is we are still 0-0 in this half with a one-round lead for Ronin. So right now they've got their ticket punched, so to speak, so far. So they don't really have to do a whole lot of risk-taking to sort this out. But the winner of this game will be going on to our upper bracket.
That is correct, Marxist. And it looks like Mela and Rando are trying to clear out the right yard area. It seems like most teams like to push out. Actually, they're making room for Shrugger to get in, and Shrugger gets air bottled by Habib. Add that one to the list of unique frags Habib has gotten this series. But Sizer opening up some room through choke for his team. It actually is just going to be a counter sack as he does go down. Is either of these players going to switch off to sniper? It doesn't look like Shrugger is opting to do just that.
Yeah, you can get a little play with sniper in Shrugger's position. Rando actually goes down to 8 health. Very dangerous position for him to be in. And pushing in now on the right, an Uber exchange. Here's a classic Uber exchange in the cross yard position. Shade's actually in a pretty rough position because this Uber from Nursey is a lot better. but it gets shut down, nothing to come of it. And we'll see, it all depends basically on can Habib hold this door down, and yeah, it happens. 4 players are wiped out. FROYO Black cleaning up frags here. Nursey with a good self-defense skill, still alive.
Yeah, actually, Nursey delaying her death there gets her on a different spawn wave from her team, so that's going to give Shade that extra 10% Uber advantage beyond what he has right now. So it's probably going to be around 70 as Nursey spawns up. She does get the forward spawn, does she?
No, she got delayed back spawned. Yeah, so that's as
bad.
medic, you don't want to live that long because she got. Not only did she get back spawned, but when you get back spawned right in the timer, you get additional spawn time. So that's not good there.
That not good, but Yamps is trying to make it good for his team. He was on sniper, but he's switching off to scout. No sentry guns to defend last year as the push comes in. They're trying to focus down Nursey. That they do. They need a couple more frags to make this Uber worthwhile. Rando putting down the damage, but goes down himself. Tag up top, doing a lot of damage to Mela, finally taking him down. But there's no scouts left alive for FROYO Black, and that's going to end the push for them. It's very unfortunate. It seemed like it was a good push.
Too. Yeah, it was a strange push because Nursey, they had to have known Nursey just spawned and had like 4% Uber, and they sold out to kill her.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension it seems from FROYO Black, but at the end of the day, at the end of the night, as the dust settles, some other form of portraying the context of the situation, they still retain yard and they have a little bit of an Uber advantage as well.
Yeah, and as I was saying before, they totally screwed up their yard defense. There are a lot of ways to get in here as long as your defense isn't terrible on the outside, but usually what happens is Ronin has this sixth sense, and every time that FROYO Black tries to rebalance their hold, they get pushed by Ronin and die.
The Uber is popped out. Nursey does get hers. She's going to have a better Uber here. Rando getting a frag with it, charging on forward, bopping Shade with a downward rocket. Badonsky jumping into the pile of players, hitting 2 pipes on both scouts, goes down without taking either. Mela cleans up his damage. Habib overextending a little bit here. Yams punishes him for it. And Shade all alone with Blank on midpoint.
Yeah, that play is something, as a pocket player, you got to really look out for. If a bad Uber for the offensive team comes into second, you got to be careful not to push out into yard into their whole team. No matter how good you think your Uber is. And it nearly came back to lose Ronin that round because they sold out super hard at the end of that Uber. And the only thing that really went wrong is Habib just wasn't able to get the extra damage put out.
Yeah, and it's going to stalemate up here, I guess, unless FROYO Black gets yard control right now. Sizer actually clearing out the stickies. It looks like Badonsky's going to death the rest of his as well. Shade not having an Uber advantage anymore, but they are committed. They are pushing through this right side. They are doing a lot of damage to Mela, but they're not converting any frags. Nursey milking away here as Blank wobbles his way on forward with those fat heals from Shade.
Yeah, they're trying to bait them into an Uber that they'll just have too many people all in one place. Yeah, and Ronin sort of senses their positional advantage withering away and just gives it up. We'll see if they try to push out again in some way because FROYO Black's health is pretty bad altogether as a team.
Yeah, and FROYO Black just muscled their way on into yard, not forcing or popping their Uber. Very impressive. Just gradual push from them. I don't think they're going to be able to do the same onto the second point as it is much more constricted, but maybe they will. They're walking their way through a lunchbox trying to overwhelm Mela, who is by himself. I think they're going to do just that. They do. Mela kills himself off of Blank, so they have that one player advantage. They do have a very good positional advantage. They have no stickies to deal with just yet. Shade milking, finally popping onto Blank. Blank, I think, out of rockets, just shooting his shotgun, and Shade might be in a precarious position as this post-Uber fight happens.
Now he's going to manage to slither his way out of there, and Tag, unfortunately, going to go down. Blank shotgunning for his life against Strugger, going to get taken out from the side. by a Mela that just kind of sneaks in there at the end. Shade running for his life, very little health, gonna try to arrow stuff, but he's gonna die, yeah. So Shade gets back spawned and bad waved into the Nursey zone from earlier.
Yeah, if Ronin stacks his point, Shade is going to spawn at his own first point, and that could be disastrous for FROYO Black. Fortunately for him and FROYO Black, he is going to get that forward spawn. Ubers are going to even up once again, but this is a very gradual game. Second half and first half, it hasn't been anything but back and forth this game. No rounds this half. FROYO Black still has not been on the board despite the many blast pushes they have failed.
And we're watching a soccer game right now, or football for our European friends.
Yeah, I'm sorry about my stuttering there. My power went out for like a half second and flashed back on. I don't know how that transmitted through Mumble, but Shrugger doing a lot of damage to Habib, almost taking him down, but sacking for his team, anticipating some sort of stalemate. Blank looking to counter sack, or just actually looking through choke.
Well, they had Sizer on Sniper there, so if Blank did go in and good things happened, it wouldn't really matter. Because they have a player who can't do anything standing in forward spawn there. So Sizer uses that as an opportunity to switch out to a more useful class.
Yeah, and here we are on the other side of the map. Pushing into the second yard area is so difficult. It seems like the only way teams have been able to do it is sneaking a scout through, defusing the stickies on the garage area, but this time Mela just walks on through, goes down, and nothing really is going to come up of that unless someone on FROYO Black makes a play here.
Yeah, and FROYO's eventually going to have to bite this bullet and do something, because we don't have forever here, and they've got to get 2 rounds. And Sizer's going to go down in choke, so that might bait out some sort of a push. And it seems like FROYO's just banking on the fact that I guess they think they know how to do this really well. This second point, and we see Shrugger getting through here. He is surprised by a tag, but tag's not going to get anything off of that, and now I don't know what they're going to do here. Shrugger is going down, but Blank's going to die in a trap, and the Uber is forced on Shade.
Yeah, Blank and Nursey were looking to the right while Benassi was just setting up a sticky trap beneath them, and this could be a round for Ronin. In fact, it should be, as Nursey needs to live here. She does pop her Uber, but they should be able to cap that second point off as Habib and Slemnish go down very late into that fight. The force there actually might allow FROYO Black to defend last much easier than before.
Yeah, with the new spawns here on Granary, there isn't going to be a whole lot of Ronin up here for a little bit, so you can scare them to buy yourself time. So nearly a disaster. That's one of those situations, sort of a universal rule of TF2, is if you find that you're not backing up and not moving forward, you're about to lose. If you're just standing there when the other team is coming at you, then bad things are about to happen. And it seemed like the gears on FROYO Black just kind of locked up for a second.
Yeah, I just messaged Yimmy because my power is flickering. I told him you might need to hop in here if my power goes out. So I might be RIP here in a second. There is a thunderstorm outside. But speaking of RIP, if FROYO Black loses this round, it could be over for them as far as upper bracket dreams go. They lose Habib before the Ubers are exchanged. It looks like they're going to heal up here and re-push this.
Yeah, that's a devastating loss for FROYO Black. You don't want to lose your demo ever on a last push. They are coming out from up top, though, and gonna drop down onto the point pretty much immediately. We get the Uber to block it, though, and that's Yomps trying to fight still. Is gonna die. Soldiers fighting over the pipes here. Still no real point pressure. Shrugger is gonna be the one that starts to tease that out. A lot of damage coming down on FROYO Black, and they are probably not going to be able to make it here unless something big happens. A nice shot by Nursey's going to get that final frag and take Ronin up 2-0.
I think it all came down to Yomps pressuring that point early on. He had like 75% cap, doing a fair amount of damage as well before he went down, and it just allowed the dry push, the post-Uber fight, for Ronin much easier. They didn't have to pressure the point because they already had so much cap time. They had to just focus frags, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, now we see Ronin in premium position and FROYO Black on the back foot because they might be headed to the losers bracket.
Yeah, and there are 10 minutes left in this game. I don't think FROYO Black has actually won a mid so far this map, but it's looking grim again, once again for them as they lost Shade. They need to kill Nursey. Nursey is still alive, but everybody on Ronin is taking a lot of damage and falling like flies.
Yeah, they're still selling out for Nursey there. Nursey's still very hurt. Slemnish in on middle trying to figure out what to do. He's going to go for that long flank. And, well, no, actually, that's not the long flank. That's his own side. I got a little flipped around there. But, yeah, Nursey surviving, no bueno whatsoever. And they're going to win that round, or that mid there, and have a very solid chance of winning the round with Uber.
Yeah, and as slow as this game has gone so far, it seems like 2 rounds is almost insurmountable for FROYO Black. They're going to have to be a little bit overly aggressive if they want to convert some rounds here. They can't just let the time run out. But that might just be what happens as Ronin is sitting with a Uber advantage that is slightly dwindling away, but they have 4 points, or they're about to have 4 points.
Yep, they are grabbing it, but no, the Uber comes through. They're going through up top again. The gun is doing its work. The Heavy's on the ground trying to fight, but Nursey and Trugger are going to die in a sticky trap. The Uber comes out from Shade as well.
Oh
so
my
a
God.
disastrous
Look at
push
Rando.
from up top. Oh,
Rando.
wow. Rando
I want to watch the
says,
demo.
This
If he
is not
actually
the
caps this
soldier
off,
you were looking for.
there's no way. That was the cheekiest play I've ever seen. Rando knew his team was just losing that last push, so he just went to the back left corner in front of that fence and just crouched. As soon as Sizer switched off Engineer and ran forward, he just walked his way onto the point, doing a little strut in his step, and that's probably the game for Ronin after that.
Yeah, that puts FROYO Black in a really awful position. And now we're going to see a mid. We need to see a quick mid win from FROYO Black in order to get anything going. And Tag is going to double jump hard onto the bats. And lots of chaos. This looks like a good old-fashioned granary mid. Nursey is going to go down. And Habib and Shade are going to try to pull out here, but they're stuck in. And only Nursey dying there. So an aggressive mid that really only gets Nursey.
Yeah, that's all they got. Tag with his early bomb, hitting 2 good rockets on a Nursey. She tried to surf her way to safety, but only an edge bug would have saved her. She was at a very small amount of health, and she cratered. But Shade actually going down later than Nursey, so Nursey should have an Uber advantage? I guess not. She forward spawned. She has no one to heal, so she's not going to have any sort of Uber advantage. She's actually going to have a 25-ish% disadvantage, but speaking of advantages, FROYO Black is down 3 rounds. I don't think they can come back from this, Marxist. What do they need to do to get back into this game with only 7 minutes left?
Well, you've got to try to get a kill quick and then start working yourself forward, because you basically have to go coast to coast 3 times in a row in order to make it. And if you're Ronin here, you pretty much just want to get a Heavy and set him on the second point somewhere where he can't get sniped. And just sit there and never move. Just let the game time out, hold the ball, and call it a day there. But FROYO Black needs to be very active in trying to get kills, and it doesn't look like that's going to be what they do because they have a sentry gun.
Yeah, and they just lost a player. Frags have been exchanged. Trugger might be able to go on Sniper or even Spy if he really wants to. I think he probably will just opt to Scout because it's the least riskiest of the 3. But we will see. I think Ronin is just going to make FROYO Black make the first move here. No, he does go to Sniper, so they want to win this handily. They want that 4th round.
Yeah, they want that round win. Oh, well, yeah, they're going to go ahead and just pop their Uber, which is a tough situation to be in. That might just be, at best, a reset, but we do have a player in behind, in Sizer, who's going to face a 1v1 and get wiped out by Mela from behind. And now looking pretty grim for FROYO Black.
Oh man, Habib was actually locking out Badonsky, but there's so much pressure from the rest of Ronin, and Schroeder is actually going to stroll onto the point. and cap it off with Nursey after hitting a nice headshot onto Shade. And that is most definitely game over for FROYO Black. Maybe they can win some consolation rounds, but Ronin proving to be the stronger team in this series after a grindy last map.
Yeah, mathematically impossible to win now for FROYO Black. The only real
Maybe it
difference
isn't.
is
We'll
do
see.
you give up?
I doubt it, though.
It definitely isn't possible.
Okay.
The only thing now is, do you get 5-0'd or not? And they are coming in hard to try not to get 5-0'd.
Yeah, they got Badonsky. Rando is very hurt. If he doesn't get arrowed soon, he's going to go down. He does go down. Trugger all by himself. And I think this is the first mid-win for FROYO Black. And unfortunately, it's a little bit too late as they try to get a round on the board. How many minutes into the game here? 55 minutes into the game?
Yeah, they finally decided to just go super aggressive and push across the point under the cover of soldier bombs. And quelle surprise for our French friends, it worked!
Yeah, but converting that last push is so key. And actually, Habib hitting 2 great pipes onto Badonsky, getting dropped by his medic. And the post-Uber fight is key, as it always is. And Shrugger's going to get locked out on the right side as FROYO Black is charging through that same area. Slemnish is looking to get a lot of cap presence onto the point. He's doing just that. Habib and friends are going to get that first round 56 minutes into the game. FROYO Black is on the board.
They've done it, and they have 3 minutes and 51 seconds left to go. So if they go at around a minute, they can do it.
I mean, yeah, it is pretty much for pride here, but I don't know if it's going to work out. Like, they're probably exhausted. Playing 3 big matches in a row is not the most relaxing thing in the world, so FROYO Black's probably not feeling too hot right now, but they're trying to put some more rounds on the board. They are winning mid once again. Nursey is going to survive, so the last push is not going to be as easy as it was last round for FROYO Black. In fact, they're going to lose blank as Badonsky retreats with his stickies.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to try to do something here because they don't have time. So, and Habib with 22 health there, trying to just contribute some sort of spam, and gonna end up going down to Badonsky, and that's probably gonna be the ending of our game, basically. No more initiative. Uber for Nursey. They're gonna try to force it out as tag. Not gonna be able to do it. And we should see a quick push in here.
Yeah, they're just playing as if it still matters, and I mean, there's no reason not to. Ronin trying to send a message, I guess, with the waning minutes of this game. They do have mid control. They do still have that Uber advantage. Shade slowly getting his Uber up as the Uber is forced out of Nursey. No frags just yet with this Uber. In fact, they're going to lose Yomps in the back area. Yomps actually surviving long enough for Nursey to flash him and then sorting Slemnish down.
Yep, and we're going to get a blank kill on Trugger and a Habib kill on Mela. More kills being exchanged. Basically only Nursey alive for Ronin there for a small percentage of time. And Shade gonna have Uber here, but just simply not enough time to put it to any kind of good use. And Habib calling out the GG.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good series. I mean, this is pretty much all we could have asked for. FROYO Black not pulling out the upset, but playing very strong. This is what we wanted to see out of FROYO Black throughout this season, and they're bringing it in the playoffs. Unfortunately for them, it is just not enough.
Yep, they definitely gelled in a big way tonight, and it was good to see that. Too bad it didn't come on a little bit earlier. But yeah, so a solid 3-game set here, and we're going to do it all over again on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to be producing and casting that game, but we'll see what happens. We will be covering it, even if it goes to 2 in the morning, 2:30, as it stands right now. But I couldn't have asked for a better matchup. I'm very pleased with how these playoffs are going so far, even though it's only been 3 games.
Yep, really solid set. Usually, you see quick 2-0s coming down at the start of the playoffs. And we will not have that this season. We had a FROYO Black team that put up a valiant effort against RONIN, a perennial top team in TF2 in North America.
So you want to take a look at the stats and then kind of give a preview of the EVL FROYO game, and sign off. It's the schedule I've magically set up for us here. The time has ticked away. Let's take a look at the stats here, Marxist. FROYO Black losing 1 game to 2. RONIN moves on to the upper bracket, or continues in the upper bracket, and FROYO Black drops down to the lower bracket. What do we got here on stats, Marxist? You got the stats loaded? I'm refreshing. We gotta wait.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them to work right now.
Oh, well, it looks like Habib had 46 frags, Rando with 49. Rando pounding this entire series, top damaging every single game. If my mind is not playing tricks on me, I don't think it is just yet. I'm not too fatigued at this point. But Rando coming in huge for his team, taking a lot of heals and doing a lot of damage with them.
Yep, that was definitely a Rando top damage, which isn't unusual for Granary anyways, but Rando just went ahead and did it the whole time in all the maps. He also took quite a lot of heals. Quite a number there.
Yeah, 10K getting into the 5 number digits. That's what he did.
Indeed, number digits.
Number digits indeed. But there's really not much more to say other than I hope everybody is happy with how both teams performed. I think we have a lot more to see out of FROYO Black, and hopefully EVL, the underdogs in the upcoming series, can contest FROYO Tech, who has remained virtually uncontested after the first game of the season, losing to RONIN and then not losing a single game after that. EVL has a tall order, but we will be covering that because things can change in playoffs, as we've seen throughout past seasons.
Yeah, and one other thing I want to point out is we're still even on frags, even after the garbage time. It is still right. 193 to 193 in the frag totals.
That's hilarious. Yeah, these two teams do match up very evenly, and if FROYO Black works their way through the lower bracket and RONIN falls back down, we might see a rematch between these two teams in the lower bracket finals. That is the only chance these two teams will play again, I believe. Or actually, if RONIN wins out and then FROYO Black wins out, they could be facing each other in the finals. But in my honest opinion, that is an unlikely scenario. But we might see these two teams play again. But for now, as it stands, RONIN continues in the upper bracket. FROYO Tech Black is in the lower bracket, and I said that like 50 times here. My brain is turning into mush.
My brain's still pretty well put together here, Truk. So well, I'll carry us on out. Do you want to do that?
Yeah,
Send them home.
I need a sody pop to get some more energy. So I'm gonna go grab that.
So we're sending you on home here. We're gonna cast again on Thursday, which may be tomorrow in your time zone, or it might not be yet. So that will be, I don't know exactly what time that is slated for yet. It'll come down the pipeline. You can check on teamfortress.tv to figure out the exact time of it. And usually if something changes, the players are pretty good about letting everybody know there. We don't know who your casters or cameramen are going to be yet. It may end up being me and Truk again. We'll see. It'll be quite the marathon. And I think that's pretty much all that we've got to deal with. Congratulations to RONIN for heading on up to the upper bracket. And I'm proud of my friends, my many friends that were on FROYO Black who failed to come through tonight, but still put on a really good show.
Yeah, we'll see you Thursday. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a pleasure to be here. Signing off, it is me, Truk. Alongside me is Marxist, and big shout out to Marblr, stepping in literally at the last minute because MathSad's internet was having some trouble. So big shout out to Marblr, stepping in and holding it down. So thank you so much to him, and we will see you guys next Thursday.